No, I'm not
So-
saying everybody did, honey. The whole world
No.
still is now.
No,
Mic
I
check,
didn't.
mic check.
But
Mic check, hear ya.
just so do you remember when you first
Oh,
started
you
believing
heard
this?
me. Yeah.
We hear
I
you.
Sorry, go
hear
ahead.
you.
We just now
Where's
heard
that
you though,
cigar?
Winston. Your light's been on forever, but nobody could hear a word you're saying.
I think that's this is my
yeah,
cue to go to the liquor
yeah.
store.
Yeah.
Completely deleted the
Stacey.
app and everything.
Stacey,
sound
do you
different.
recall when you first
You
started
don't
believing
sound like
this stuff?
Winston.
Oh,
It
it's
is
definitely
I.
Winston. What's that, sweetie?
Jeez,
I
like-
did it, I.
Have you got a new mic or something, mate? You sound different.
Yeah, I got a new headset. It's supposed to got a
Plus
decent
the
mic.
fuck out.
Okay.
Everybody
Prove that you're
Yeah.
Winston. Say specificity.
talking about 5 different things at the same
There we go.
fucking
That's
time.
Winston. G'day, buddy.
Seriously,
It
though,
doesn't
I'm
matter.
sorry.
It just doesn't
But
matter.
didn't you hear
Everybody
earlier?
talks.
It's actually
Winston, they
substantive
think that you're
specificity.
stupid, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a little bit more than the thought. But Stacey, I was going to ask you a question just bring it back to Jay Tolan real quick before I go somewhere else. I just because you asked me originally what I thought about it when I saw it. Based on
Oh,
what
yeah, exactly.
I'm just telling you that I thought they were. I was like, wow, they were amazing images and videos and stuff, and I was curious like what the hell's going on. But I also know that the longest shot, like the record for the longest camera shot or whatever, was at like 275 mile mountain range. So that's a world record. So I figured that if this guy was actually taking images that were 1,200 miles from a plane or whatnot, there'd be some kind of recognition for that, some kind of record that he would have achieved. But there's not really any recognition.
You thinking nowadays, though? I mean, there's not going to get that recognition because they don't want it out there. Listen, if it is true, right, that the Earth is flat, he's got proof of that. Let's say that's real, you guys. For you, do you really think if they've been lied to that they're going to allow that information to get out? If they've lied to you, do you think they're going to allow that?
Who's they?
The same old conspiracy.
See, y'all can't even entertain hypotheticals. That's the crazy part,
Smoking
bro.
man on the X Files. That's who they is.
You're scared of hypotheticals. Basically, your rebuttal is it just light bends. It magically looks like the Earth is flat. Yeah, yes, that is.
Thanks for playing.
Yes, that is. it.
Thanks for
You
playing.
think that when we see way too far,
Don't tell me what I
that
think.
light bends
Don't tell me
and
what I
it just
think.
makes it look like it was flat, but in fact, it is not. It is bending down and away from us on a magic ball.
The light never bends enough to make it look flat.
Oh, so when we
Fuck,
see
don't
too
play his
far,
game,
it has
man.
nothing to do with refraction.
Better
Is
than
that y'all's
that.
news claim?
Don't play his game.
When we
should
see
do-
too
don't
far,
matter
does it have anything to do with refraction?
Let's do our best to keep this
Yes, please
conversation like
answer
it's been, and just have
When
normal.
when we see too
Can we
far,
answer Austin's question?
yeah,
You can
when we
really
see
cut
too
it down
far,
to what we believe.
You already know the answer to that, don't you?
Yes, he
when we
does.
see too far, does it have anything to do with refraction?
What do you think?
You already know the answer.
Well, see, why is it such a big deal?
Well, are we here for a conversation? Right. And he's one to ask a question, and people probably streaming,
Well, it's
whatever,
not an
trying to
honest
talk
question.
about
He
it.
knows
So
the
let's
answer.
talk.
I'm just
What's the
trying
answer?
to clarify.
Well, yes, then.
Okay, so when
Did
we
you
see
really
too
not know
far, y'all's stance is that it's because of refraction,
You're
right?
the one saying it's too far.
Well, when I say too far, what I mean by that is what we're seeing isn't conducive with a physical obstruction being
Why would you say
exactly
that?
what we're seeing. So you don't want to hear. Why would I say what?
All that you just said.
Well, it's pretty much understood with see too far with that word tooth there that
You're
it's
the one saying it's too far.
compared
Why?
to hey, calm down. That it's compared to something, right? And what it's compared to is the physical obstruction of the globe Earth metrics they all told us that we all lived on. Right. I'm glad
How did you figure that?
How did I figure what?
Oh my god.
That it's too far. You
Okay.
can actually explain
So,
Jeremy, you like this guy? You like this guy
how
representing
how did I figure that it was too far? Well,
Yeah.
what we see, it isn't, of course, consistent with the physical geometric horizon of what we would see a physical obstruction, right? That's not what we see. So
Who
what we
claimed
can
would see
say.
the geometric horizon?
Wait,
You
what?
gotta go down to the path, don't you?
The model and
Say it
the
again.
Who
geometry and the
claimed we would
radius
see
and all
a
that jazz?
geometric? Who said we would see a horizon?
No,
defined
that's
by
not even what I
geometry
said,
only?
though. That's not what I said. Calm down. Calm down. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying,
Well, then why
So-
you say geometric
Someone who
horizon?
needs to remain
Calm
calm.
down.
You
So if
are
you do the math
one
of
who
the
needs
physical
to be
claim that you're
calm.
making, calm down. If you do the math of
I'm
the
not
physical
making a
claim that
claim.
you're
I'm asking
making,
how you got to your claim.
you are making a claim. The globe Earth's a claim. So if we look at the globe Earth claim, the physical claim the globe Earth is making, right? There's a physical obstruction that's there. Now, what we perceive is not necessarily exactly what that physical obstruction is, but
Well,
it
how'd you
is
figure
obviously
that?
relative. It
You're
is
skipping that
obviously
step.
relative to that.
Give me a minute
Agreed
to
or
calm
disagreed?
down.
Agreed or disagreed?
Well, I can't agree with something when you're skipping a step. How did you figure that it doesn't match?
Well, whoa. No, I'm saying what? Oh, because sometimes, for example, the black swan, we do not see the physical obstruction that we should see as a geometric horizon.
Sure you do. Well, wait a minute.
So
You
in
said
the black
geometric-
swan,
wait
we
a minute.
do
Let me-
see
Let me clarify my
the
question. You
horizon
said
physically that we should see.
You said geometric horizon again. Why?
Because that's the argument. It's about the geometric claim
That's not
that you
our
make.
argument.
It's a
No, it
well,
isn't.
actually, yeah. You make a geometric claim. You need to catch
No, I
up.
don't.
Catch up.
Straw man.
Oh,
Straw
so
man.
okay. So the
Straw
globe Earth model
man.
doesn't make a geometric claim. Is that your new claim?
Well, there's geometry involved, but that's not all there is to it.
They don't need a radius here with it.
Does
They don't
the
need a radius.
globe
That's what they're
Earth
saying now.
model make a geometric claim? Yes or no?
What's it? You're going
Not
on Nathan.
only.
Honest,
Let
just-
Jeremy say something.
Stop
no,
bringing
no,
up other
let
people.
Jeremy
Stop
say something.
imploding.
Okay, this is important.
Guys,
This
You
is
gotta stop-
very,
y'all need
very
to
important.
understand.
Hold on. What's it? Just talk
Y'all
normally.
are
Stop
freaking
stop
out.
just talking normally with you. Just
Y'all are freaking out.
Cool.
Says the person.
I'm
who's
trying to be
talking
cool,
nonstop.
but y'all won't be honest.
All right. Well, let me just clarify. The globe Earth model is not pure geometry. There's more to it than that.
Good thing I didn't say it was.
Well, you're just saying, does it make a geometric claim as if that's all there is to it?
No, actually, I'm asking it as if you people are scared to even answer and make your claim. You've proven me to be correct. You've proven me to be correct. This entire group of people. Thank you, guys.
Yes,
Very,
we're
very
correct in thinking
hilarious.
you're an idiot. You can leave
No,
now.
actually,
We're-
what's
Goodbye.
correct is that you guys
You are
are
the
afraid to
weakest link.
answer
Goodbye.
simple questions
Goodbye.
because you're afraid of the implications of your own claims.
Goodbye.
Hold on.
All
Speedy,
right,
stop doing
I'm
that.
enjoying the conversation.
Yeah, and what's it? Like, calm down a little bit, man. Like, it's,
I'm super calm.
Just calm. You're not super
Calm
calm,
down.
dude. Something's up with you. So just talk.
Something's up
normally.
with
Right.
me. So should I let 4 people interrupt me, Kosho, and then not ever answer the questions, and then
I
obfuscate
told
and
the other
ad
person-
hom?
I told the other person who was
You got
interrupting
an
you.
answer.
I think we all need to calm down. I'm enjoying the conversation. Let's continue. Carry on.
Can we all
All
just
right, it's
get
simple. So
along?
the globe Earth makes a geometric physical claim. Agreed or disagreed?
It makes more than that. So,
Agreed
yes, I
or
disagree.
disagree
Does it
specifically
make
on that point, though.
claim?
I disagree.
agreed
It
or-
makes,
Agree to
let me
disagree
answer,
specifically
damn it.
on that point.
I disagree. It makes more than that.
Okay, but does it make a geometric physical claim?
No, it makes more than that.
But does it make that?
Does it?
You don't get to isolate part of it and say that's
This is the world that y'all like to live.
It's
Okay,
part of it.
so does
Well, then
it
you
make
gotta
a
talk about all of it.
geometric physical claim?
all the relevant parts of it. Not just part of
Does
it.
everyone in the room agree with this guy?
Oh, you know
agree
what?
that
I'm
that
gonna be
makes
a little
the
for a
most sense
second.
of the
Yes,
two of
with
you.
it makes a geometric claim. Yes,
You
it
gotta
does with
exchange
it.
Yeah, of course,
It's not
right?
fair. So you guys
Inherently,
cutting him off
it
so
makes
that
a
way you can't give a
geometric.
complete answer, and then just
Yeah, of course,
argue with his answer.
inherently,
So stop doing that.
inherently,
That's
it
with
makes
the
a
game, though,
geometric
Cocho.
physical claim, right? Inherently. So
Thanks for
No
unmuting him, by the
shit.
way. This is great.
Jesus Christ, this is like
We just
talking
love
to
listening to
toddlers.
him
So
ramble on.
the geometric
Geometric.
claim it makes is a
Geometric.
radius
You
of
gotta stop doing that, though.
3959. So then it has a geometric horizon, which is deduced from that radius and the elevation height of the observer based on
he
what we
sounds
should
like a
see based on
disgruntled
physical
robot.
obstruction. Now your stance is that what we see is actually that physical
No.
obstruction, but altered
See,
because.
that's where you're messing
listen,
up
man,
again.
listen, bro, y'all won't even let me. I'm trying to. Yeah, but altered. I said,
I'm
but
trying to save some
altered.
time here.
So
when
is
you
that's
start
not what
claiming
y'all
the
stand-
wrong thing that we're
I said,
claiming.
but altered. Is that your stance or not your stance?
You are a butt altered.
Yeah.
Whatever
I
that
said it's the physical obstruction, but altered. Is that your stance or not your stance?
I don't exactly know what you mean by that.
Yeah, see, exactly. Y'all just want to constantly interrupt, obfuscate, and lack comprehension,
Stop
but
interrupting
tout
when you're answering me.
intellectual
What I'm claiming
superiority.
instead of
It's a
listening to you
fucking
telling me
joke.
what I'm claiming.
But so you're doing
Okay.
95%
Are we
of
on a
the
ball? Is there a radius of 3959? Are we on a ball, a geometric shape?
Well, they're playing games. They are afraid to have real conversation, and that's what I,
I mean,
want
I'll
to
break
know.
it down real simple.
That's the
Are we on a
right
ball,
thing.
a geometric
We
shape?
understand. We
Maybe
all.
Witsit can tag out for like 20 minutes, Kosho?
Have him
Maybe?
calm
No,
down for a
fuck
second so
off.
Slacker can.
Bro, y'all don't want to answer the
Wait,
questions.
Stop talking, please. Stop. Allow other people to talk for
Or
a second.
what,
Hold
dude?
on.
Kosho, what are you going to do, dude?
Stop talking for real.
Or
Slacker,
what,
why don't you-
Kosho?
Dude, stop talking. Please stop talking.
Why are you
No.
Why
being
don't you
so
just,
moderator? Kosho,
yeah, Slacker,
settle,
why don't-
settle.
Slacker, why don't you
Settle.
just instead of waiting for his questions, why don't you just explain explicitly? That way he
I
doesn't
tried
have
that
to
a
straw
couple
man.
times.
Yeah, I know,
Yeah.
and he's interrupting you. I know.
No, this
Cool
is a
lie.
straw man. Are we on a ball? Is this a geometric shape?
I've been asking simple questions. Y'all can't
Let's
answer them.
Slacker
See
go
if
ahead
y'all
now.
will.
We live on an irregular oblate spheroid that's covered in air. There's a pressure gradient,
Water.
there is a temperature gradient, and there is a gradient of humidity as well. All of this affects what you actually see. You will never see the geometric horizon because we don't live on an airless object. Should I go on?
So how did you figure out the
No.
radius then?
I'm the one who figured it out, but
Oh, you're going to make fun of the stuttering, but you can't answer a question. How'd you originally
wasn't
figure out the
stuttering, it was
radius
on purpose.
value if you use the horizon, but the horizon is just an apparent location you use it to make a physical claim? Yeah.
I think you got
Everyone in the server cannot debate this.
Witsit,
Y'all are
calm
making fun of
down.
Stacey and she's dominating you. No,
Yeah,
I don't
calm
play that
down.
little gamma.
Get your
Little
panties out
gamma
of the
males
Get the
want to
sand
try
out of
and
your
pick
vagina.
up,
Let
pick.
someone else
You
talk
want to
for
try
10
and
minutes.
pick on a female because y'all are little weak gammas and y'all got life fucked up. Because the funny part of it is you can't even address what she said. So
Funny
address what
part
she
is
said.
You are the one who needs to calm down.
Oh, still can't address what she said. Still can't address what she said. Gotcha. Still can't address the
Just
point.
so you
Still
know.
can't address.
So,
Still can't.
to
Still
actually
can't address the point.
to actually answer the question, no, I didn't figure it out. Someone else did. Every single one of my observations is consistent with that, though.
Nope. She said, "How'd you figure it out in the first place?"
Well, I didn't. I answered that.
But how was it figured out in the first place?
It depends on what you believe about the past, and I'm not. Really
Oh, what we believe
keen to get
about the
into it.
past. Would you agree that's an important thing, though, right?
Well, what
You got
Stacey
me
already said she
believing
doesn't
shit.
believe.
Is how you
Histories.
came to the belief of your radius value
What's it?
important? Yes or no?
I'm not answering your question. I'm answering hers.
Yeah, you can't
She
answer
already-
any of the questions because you're a clown.
That's it.
Come on, Kosho, mute this bitch.
Stacey already said that she
Yeah,
doesn't.
y'all want to
wanna
mute
hear
me
what
because
I
you
thought.
can't answer my
He doesn't want a
questions because y'all,
conversation.
you're actually.
He's a
VD,
big
you
crybaby.
gotta,
I'm not
VD,
answering your
you gotta stop
question.
for a
What's it?
second.
I'm answering Stacey's.
Witsit,
You
Remember
can't
who
answer
was
my
The
actually
question
talking.
is kind of with this question because
Okay.
you're literally not getting to the specific point that he's asking because you're
Okay, well,
derailing, and I'm
hold
just
his breath
asking you
long
to
enough
tell
for
me where
anyone
you
to
got
answer,
your dang
Stacey.
horizon. I'm sorry, your radius of 3959. If you've never seen a geometric horizon, it's supposed to exist on your ball of a geometric shape.
So we have the same question.
Well, we can
So
actually
answer
go
the
into-
question.
See,
Would you
he
let
won't
me?
let me answer.
We can go into that. I was avoiding the history of it since you said you.
We
don't
know
believe
you were
history.
avoiding it. Go
But
ahead.
Witsit, you
We'll
gotta
go
stop
into the
doing that,
thing.
man.
We'll go into the things that I've personally done that are consistent with that. With that
No,
radius.
no. Where'd you get the R value?
I've set up my telescope at different latitudes, and to align them properly, you have to set it up so that it's pointed at the North Star. Now, every latitude is approximately 69 miles apart, and as you move each latitude, you have to change the elevation of your telescope to align it by a degree.
Okay, so slackers understand. Anyone else?
So 1 degree every 69 miles gives you the radius of the Earth, or the circumference of the Earth, properties of a sphere, yada yada. That's how I know that it's consistent.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Dude, Witta had you scared to admit you had geometry. That was fucking hilarious.
Oh, you do?
That's
Winston
not
didn't
what
shut up
basing-
long enough for anyone to answer, Jeremy. Get real, man.
Yeah, Slacker's being pretty cordial and answering the questions pretty honestly. So, the geometric horizon and the distinction between that and the ordinary
you had
horizon.
to mute me because y'all are
the idea that those
bitches,
things.
coach.
Richard, stop doing that, man.
Why'd you
And the
have to?
idea that those two things are distinct in any kind of way. Fuck, what was I saying? Right. So just because you're talking about the actual horizon and not the geometric horizon is not evidence that there's no geometry related to anything that you're doing. Because of course it's all geometry. You're looking at the
But
sphere
your
Earth.
geometry
It's
is
just a
based on that
nomenclature.
geometric horizon that does not
No.
exist, that you have never found the R. Where is the R coming from? And then you claim
Because-
refraction and you don't even have R. Where is R coming from?
Because, like I said, there's other ways to get at the geometry of the Earth besides looking at the horizon.
Please explain.
Like I said, we can look. Like I said, we
Well, I
can
mean,
look at the
space. Wait.
northwest geo-
Space.com just said recently the way you bait a flat earthers with the horizon.
He-
Correct, though?
I don't care.
Slacker was
what
just
other
giving you the
people are
answer, but
saying.
y'all interrupted him.
I just gave you a reason, and I can go into a little bit more detail if you want about using the North Celestial Pole to get the radius of the Earth.
Yeah. Okay, so that presupposes sphericity
Okay,
whenever
okay.
you wait. No. Fuck him. We're
It
gonna fuck.
doesn't. It doesn't
Hey, okay.
presuppose
How do you
sphericity.
interpret?
It confirms it afterwards.
Okay. For geometrical geometric deduction, does that require an actual location? And do you take spherical trigonometry or do you use planar trigonometry? And do you have a z
I'm not
coordinate?
using any trig.
Oh, so you're not using any trig, or you're using geometry?
Yes. Trig is just
Okay.
one
Is that?
part of it. And it's
Oh,
not the part
trig
I'm
is
using.
part of it, but it's not part that you're using.
Yeah.
Okay, so trig has nothing to do with it.
Oh, there's plenty of trig related to spheres, but I'm not
Oh,
using
so that's something to do with this. So is it spherical trigonometry or planar trigonometry?
I'm not using trig.
Okay, so is it planar geometry or spherical geometry?
I am talking about the geometry of the sphere.
Yeah. Okay, so there's a z coordinate.
Oh my god.
Well, which
Is
are you
there a
using
z
those?
coordinate?
What coordinate system are you using?
You use Cartesian coordinates. Anything you can bring up.
I didn't use any coordinate system.
Well, what are you using? You're
Elevation.
trying to prove the Earth's a ball. You're presupposing sphericity. I'm trying
I'm
to
using-
point out that you don't know what you're talking about.
I'm using the elevation angle of Polaris and the distance between the multiple
Okay,
observations.
so is that the actual location of Polaris or an apparent location?
Exactly.
Elevation angle. That's not a
Is
position.
that an actual location or an apparent location of Polaris?
It's neither. It's not a position. Like
Physically-
location.
It's neither?
It is not a location. It is
Wait,
an
is that the
elevation angle.
actual or apparent location of Polaris?
It is not a location.
It's neither.
Yes, it's an elevation angle.
Oh, it's an elevation. Okay, so we see a light in the sky,
If
correct?
you don't even know where
Wait,
it's
calm
at,
down. I
you
got
have
this,
no
I got
clue.
this, I
You're
got
I don't have
basing
to
that-
know where it's at.
This is being recorded, right?
Sky.
I think
Okay.
it's
I don't
important
know,
that
but I
he.
hope so, actually.
I think it's important that he be
What I have to know
allowed
is
to
it's in that
finish his.
direction.
Finish your explanation, Slack.
No,
because
answer my
there's no point in going on about.
question. It's
What's it?
simple.
I said
Stop
fundamentally
it. You're not. You're not.
Coach,
You're not
stop
talking.
trying to
You're not
power
allowing
trip,
for a
dude.
conversation, man.
I asked a simple question. I said, is it
Yeah,
an
it's
actual or
simple.
apparent location?
Answer. Wait for the end
He
of the
can't
answer.
answer. He
Let's
said
see.
he doesn't have to answer it. And y'all are
That's
going to
not what I said.
stamp
I'm asking
it.
questions
Yeah,
while
why
he's
can't one
describing
person
this.
answer him at a time?
Because he doesn't let anyone answer.
Is Polaris an apparent or actual location?
So you understand
Polaris
the
is a
question?
star.
The question
Is
originally
what
was how can you
you
decide the radius of
use
the Earth
when
in
you
comparison with the
see
horizon. And now you're talking about
Polaris an
Polaris.
apparent.
That's why you need to let him finish.
He just said angle to Polaris.
Yeah, that's all I'm using. I'm not using
Okay,
a
so
location.
is Polaris that you're using your angle deduction for the origin of the light known as Polaris? Is that the actual or apparent location?
I'm not using the location.
Neither. It's neither. You're making up a.
It's
a definition for
neither?
you.
What?
How
It's
could
irrelevant.
it
Just let
be
them finish, man. Come
neither,
on.
dude?
Because all I'm using is the direction.
The direction of what?
Polaris.
Yeah,
Pola-
sorry.
so
But
the
where is it?
apparent location of Polaris.
No, not its location, its direction. There's a
The
difference.
direction of what?
Oh my
What you're observing, the visual appearance or perception of Polaris.
No, it doesn't work unless you answer it the way
Sucker,
he's
yeah, no,
asking.
Slacker, hold on one second.
Y'all
You have to
lose.
answer it his way.
Y'all are
VD,
so scared of
VD,
simple
hold on a second.
things.
Slacker, I'm gonna let you finish this up. But you guys, remember you asked him about the horizon and the distance to and all this kind of stuff.
Stop trying to
But
save
then
him. We're talking
stop
about Polaris
talking,
now.
Because I don't like muting you, but you're making me
You've
have to
actually
mute you,
muted me like
you're
3 times
interrupting
because you're a
everybody.
little bit.
Well, hold
God
on.
damn it, dude. This guy's like on meth.
Witsit,
Listen.
they always tell me.
No, listen,
When-
Jeremy,
when-
Jeremy, hold on. Jeremy, hold on.
not on that.
Let's
You
get
guys
this.
don't want it. You guys want to
hypermanic.
run from the radius.
Stop.
Why?
Yeah, that's exactly what we want to talk about. We want to talk about the radius. So let's stop with all the side questions. He's going to describe to you.
Whoa. That is how
Stacey.
you guys are getting your radius that you're saying that he's like, I measured it. I know it. It's a sphere.
So
but
let-
at the
so
same
let-
time, you're basing
allow him
on
to
apparent
finish
location
before
that
you
you
critique
cannot
it, okay?
verify.
Stacey, just allow him to finish before you
Okay,
critique
I will.
it.
I
Make
will.
sure,
Go ahead, honey.
make sure that they'll do the same to you guys as well, okay? But don't interrupt him every time he starts speaking.
Okay. No problem, honey.
So yeah, go ahead and finish. Go ahead and finish the radius with the horizon, and or I'm sorry,
I'm
not the horizon,
using
with
the
the
horizon specifically.
yeah, not the horizon with Polaris.
I see that Polaris's elevation angle, not its location, because I don't care where it is, just which direction it's in. Its elevation angle changes by 1 degree for every approximately 69 miles I move north or south. Now, if we take 69, number of miles for 1 degree of change, multiply that by 360, we get the circumference of Earth. And then from the circumference, you can get the radius. That's one way we can validate the radius of Earth. You follow? No trigonometry, no locations of Polaris, just the elevation angle.
So we're literally basing our entire radius and everything on what we believe. You're basing it on what already a presupposition of what we're on, because in reality, you're based on apparent locations, literally in the sky, and telling you what we're
But the
standing
way that
on.
that changes,
Is
there's
that
no
the
other
apparent-
explanation.
Wait a
There's no
minute.
other explanation.
Is that the
Wait
apparent
a
or
minute.
actual location?
It's the apparent position in the sky. So what?
Thank you. Yeah. No, it's not a big deal.
It extremely matters.
Think about how easy this combo would have been, bro.
You
Right
said
from the
apparent
beginning-
location. He didn't
Yeah,
say
right.
apparent
The location
location.
of the
dumb
star. I
fuck.
don't know. I don't care.
I
about
said
the location of the
actual
star.
or apparent position or location.
Yeah,
same
it's the
thing,
apparent
right?
position in
Yeah.
the sky. So what?
Oh,
Exactly.
okay, yeah. See, exactly. See, that's see.
It's
Now
not the
you
same
understand
thing
my
you keep
frustration.
forcing him into. Quit
No, now
bullshitting.
you-
and just
You were
accept
always
now
saying
you
location.
Now you understand my frustration, right? Because
No, the
I wasn't
frustration
really-
is you're dipshit, and you're trying to
I was-
force him to give an answer that he's not
Right.
agreeing to.
I wasn't really
Listen
trying to.
honestly to what he has to say.
I wasn't really trying to make a point right there, right? Like I
You
was
don't
just
have
trying
a
to make
point.
I was trying to have a mutual
You don't have a
concession
point.
agreement.
All you do is interrupt.
And you have to keep
got two so far
interrupting.
since I started
You're
counting.
interrupting me for the 4th time in a row. Why you
You're
complain about
interrupting my
interruption?
attempt to respond to what Stacey said.
Which is the same thing. We're both said the same thing to all of you 2 times. One is, how do you substantiate the origin of the radius value? Secondly, your diversion, red herring fallacy attempt to look at the sky and not ever address the origin of the R value. We've also pointed out your conflated actual and apparent location. You lose
So can
on
I
both
respond to
ends. This has been about 10 minutes of just bullshit, and then y'all have to mute me and try to
I
team up
agree.
on Stacy because y'all are gammas.
Now,
Now,
can
you're
I
just a bitch that
respond?
won't shut up, Witsit. Now sit back and let it Rocket say something if you want to ask him a question.
I just pretty much made the point. You should listen.
You
next
didn't make
time.
a point. You argued like a
because
bitch.
you're not smart
and
enough
you
to
need to calm
listen.
down.
Oh, the only time you could ever call me a bitch was on Discord, dude. I don't know why
I
you
call
think
you a
that
bitch
makes
to
you
your face
cool.
right now. You wouldn't do shit about it.
That's a cool story,
Okay, let's-
dude.
let's
But we
not
all
story.
know
Hold
that.
on.
Just
I wanna
calm
talk to
down. Don't
Witsit
let it
about
devolve. Just
pressure in a
stop with your
container.
little
please
fantasies where you think you could talk to me like
I
that.
want to have a conversation with
What's
you
up?
about pressure in a container, which
Hold on,
all
can
the
I
flat
just- Okay.
earthers, including the quantum racer, are scared to talk about.
I'm not
Can I
scared to
recap?
talk
All right,
about
well,
it.
can we talk about pressure in a container then?
If you
Just-
calm
just
down,
to talk about it.
Jesus.
What just happened? Can I just recap what happened real quick just now?
Please
Yeah,
don't.
guys
dude.
are
Jeremy,
This
trying to
gamma
take an
spiral
angle.
calling me names.
You guys are trying to take the angle of something where you don't know where it is because you don't have its actual location.
You don't need an
Why would
actual
we need that?
location
That's
for
what
the
just
ninth
happened,
time,
right?
Jeremy.
You
Thank
actually
for
do need
demonstrating
you need an
you didn't
actual
pay
location
attention
for
at all.
geometry. You just must not know what you're talking about.
Not for
So,
what I'm doing.
someone has a question
Yeah.
about gas
An
pressure in a
angle doesn't
container. What's
require
up?
a distance.
Yeah.
You cannot tout a deduction of angle based
You
on the
cannot
apparent
deduct an
location
angle.
and then conflate it to actual physical location.
Right. You don't need to know the
Anyway,
distance of something to measure an angle.
I
Let's talk
didn't
about
even
gas
say that.
pressure.
It's nice straw man and diversion. So gas pressure, what's up? What's your question?
Okay. If you have gas pressure in a container, does it push on all the walls of the container equally? Do all the walls experience the same amount of force, every direction? The top of the container, the bottom of the container, the sides of the container?
It would depend on how big each side was.
Well, let's say you just have a container in like a jar. Like if you have a jar and you pressurize the jar, is the gas pressure pushing evenly on all sides of the jar?
Well, no,
Is there the
because the
same pressure
jar is
on the
a
top and the
cylinder.
bottom?
No, the
Well,
jar is a cylinder.
let's move
On the
on to
top,
what-
you're asking different
Over-
questions.
over-
You're just like
over unit
scattergunning
area.
nonsense at this
The
point.
PSI, the pressure per unit area, is it the same in all directions of the jar? The pressure per unit area.
That is dependent upon the container and what's in it.
So are you saying that if I have a container and I'm measuring the pressure, the shape of the container on the sides or whatever, it's going to change the pressure per unit area?
Well,
If
I'm
you
saying
pressurize-
you asked, does the pressure, is it equal
Well,
on
well,
all
let's
the
just-
walls of the container?
let's say-
That's what you asked.
Okay, well, let's just say it's a cylinder, and then the top of the cylinder and the bottom of the cylinder are exactly the same area and shape. They're circles, right?
What is your point?
Imagine a Coke can. Is the pressure that's pushing on the top of the cylinder the same as the pressure that's pushing on the bottom of the cylinder?
Is it the same?
Does he
Yeah,
know what a
is it the
cylinder
same?
is?
Yeah, like if you imagine a Coke can, if you pressurize a Coke can, which is gas, imagine it was
You're
empty
asking,
and you
is it
sealed
the
it.
same?
Right, you pressurize it. Is it the same pressure that's pushing on the top of the Coke can as on the bottom? And the temperature is the
you
temperature
can
is
have
the-
a closed dynamic system where it isn't the same, but yes, typically equilibrium will be sought. What's your point?
Right.
Why can't you just answer the
do you
question
not know
yes or
flat Earth?
no?
I-
What's it?
I'm
He's
answering
asking
all
a
the
fucking
questions in
question.
depth
Just
while y'all
relax.
run away
Just
from
relax
questions.
and let
Look,
him
someone's
ask the question
screaming.
and then answer
Someone's
it.
screaming.
Let him answer
Uh-oh.
it. All right.
So
All right, I'm going to mute you for now, Witsy, because you're being obnoxious. He's asking you a question, you're interrupting constantly, and then when you answer, you're not really giving an answer. You're saying, "What's your point? What's your point?" Just relax, give real answers, listen to what he says, and then he'll listen to what you say. It doesn't need to be obnoxious.
Yeah, 'cause-
You are creating the obnoxiousness. I've been listening for 10 minutes, and if you think it's not you, you are wrong.
Scott, what the
Well, we
fuck,
did go
bro?
over this earlier.
What the
We
fuck,
did.
bro?
You just heard what the
No, listen, man, listen. You're
Okay, you're on mute again. So you settle down, you calm yourself, and then when you're ready to talk like a real adult, we can talk. Slaka, you never did get to finish your response to Stacy. It was ridiculous. You started responding, and 18 people interrupted you, and they never did uninterrupt you.
Yeah.
You
wanna go back to that?
Over that?
Hey, real quick before y'all
you-
finish that, wouldn't the bottom of the container on the smallest scale be a little more than on the top when it comes to the pressure? I mean, on the smallest scale. I mean,
what was the question?
remember about they were talking about the pressure in a container. Would it be
That was a
equal?
question to Witsit to find out what Witsit thinks.
Right.
Oh, okay. So none of us could actually ask.
You could answer the question if you want.
Yeah, you can
but it
answer
was
the question.
asked-
If we have a cylinder, imagine we have a cylinder, flat on the
No, I
top,
already
flat
get
on the
it.
bottom.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's the same.
I get it, but is this the right answer? I have no idea. But wouldn't it, on the smallest scale, if we could actually measure it, that it'd be more on the bottom than it would be on the top?
Why?
Why would it be more on the bottom?
He said bottom.
Yeah, I mean, what's it? What are you putting in the container?
Any gas.
So a gas, you would still be if you're in the atmosphere, right? If you're in near the Earth's surface, you're going to have some type of small scale gradient within the container, right? Even though
Why would you have
show,
a gradient in the container?
because of the gas that you're putting in there, wouldn't it settle But are you talking about just the pressure on the walls itself would measure like 120 all over?
Right. Well, that's what I'm trying to find out. You have a container,
Right.
and you were trying to figure out whether if it's all at the same temperature. Let's say you suck out whatever's in the containers, and then you push in some other gas. It doesn't matter what gas it is. It could even be air. Doesn't matter. Okay. You fill it in. Is the pressure going to be the same on the top as it is on the bottom?
Depends. Do you stop introducing it, or do you continue to introduce it?
No, you stop introducing it, and everything is sealed.
Then that's going to equalize.
Sealed.
That's going to equalize.
So it's going to be the same pressure on the top and the bottom.
Typically, it's going to equalize, yeah.
Okay, so then I have a diagram. I have a picture to show you, and I need you to explain something.
All right, cool. And right after that, can you explain how you even have the container or the pressure without that container?
No, we're not talking about that. We're just talking about
we're not talking about
containers.
that because we got to skip over that because it's a fucking death blow to my religion.
Show me how you get a picture, because I don't know how pictures work, guy.
That was a very creative, profound comment.
Show us your picture, Jake. And it better be safe for work.
I'm just trying to understand the ultimate diversion away from the necessary antecedent to pressure being attainment somehow being the conflation to the gradient. But
We'll get to that. We'll get to that.
Well, we know. Well, we obviously know that's what you're getting to, dude. But you're still skipping over the primary premise.
We've put the container that I described on a scale.
Right. So now that we skip over the primary premise, we have a container, and we just act like that's not a big deal.
We're just talking about a container. Okay, relax. We're just talking about a container.
You're
We're not talking about
screaming by telling me to relax, dude.
Relax.
You're screaming.
I'm not
telling me to relax.
If you think he's screaming, turn your volume down because he's really
Nope, he just freaked out
a little bit and just admit, like, intellectually, because we've talked about this. Come on, that you can't even weigh gas without a container. You cannot ever show me gas pressure without a container. Can we
I want
gas on Earth?
They want to conflate the antecedent to quantitative relationship for like 4 years in a row, and then act like that makes me dumb.
Okay, what's it?
Guys,
We've got the container, and we're going to weigh it. Are we able to weigh the weight of the gas in the container? Does the weight on that scale change? First, we pull a vacuum so that we suck out all the gas, and we put in a gas. Are we able to weigh that gas on the scale?
What does it have to do with the fact that necessary antecedent to gas pressure is a physical barrier container?
Will you answer the question?
No.
Can I answer what question?
We're not talking about that now.
Okay.
I just asked you a direct question. Are you scared? Are you scared to answer it, or are you going to answer it?
No, don't self-project onto me.
We can
I'm
weigh
not
shit
scared of
in
your
a
questions.
container.
Okay, can you weigh the gas on the Can you weigh the gas on the container?
Can I weigh the gas on the container? Yeah, of course you need a container to weigh it, dumbass. Thank you for supporting
That's not
my
what
point.
we're asking.
So when you fill the gas in the container, the scale is gonna go up. It's gonna the container is gonna weigh more with the gas inside it. Yes.
And the what's gonna weigh more?
Right.
When you weigh the container on the scale like this, it's gonna weigh more. It's gonna weigh more when you put the gas in it than when it's in a vacuum. Yes.
Okay. Wow, that was profound.
Is it gonna weigh more? Yes or no?
Yeah, depending on what you put on it, how much you put in there. Yep.
It doesn't matter. If we put any gas in it, is it going to weigh more? Even helium.
Oh my bro!
If we put helium in it, is it going to weigh more?
Bro, you're exhausting, dog.
Are you going to answer the question?
So what? I'm not going to answer 57 rudimentary, elementary cookie crumb questions for you for an hour.
So
no, I'm not your little bitch. Would you like to
Time out.
If you would like to pull out an intellectually adult question that's sufficient, right? Like, hey, Austin, here's my whole premise. Will you respond? That's cool. If you want to, please calm down. If you want to grab my hand and act like I'm fucking stupid with your demeaning tone and ask me baby cookie crumb questions, it's kind of exhausting, right? I mean, I'm not going to continue to play into that.
So you're scared to answer the question.
No,
I got it. You're scared.
See, that's what you're going to do right now because you're trying to get away with your little plan to be able to pepper me with bullshit diversion questions.
I started this with asking you, are you going to be scared to answer these questions the way QE is?
I answered every
you said, I'm not
question,
scared.
and
I just
not
asked you.
you're self-projecting your fear because I have about 50 questions you can't answer.
It all started off with one question, did it not? Can you ever have gas pressure without a container? Yes or no?
No, that's not even how it started. They want to skip over the antecedents postulation from our side, and they want to conflate it to a quantitative sales pitch about how that happened and proclaim causation of the quantitative relationship of the pressure, but they never address the antecedents relationship. And I'm hoping this is recorded because even though this dude's telling me to calm down, if you listen intently to the words that I said, they lose. Once again,
just take a breath. I promise you.
You want me to calm down, stop, or take a breath because I'm shattering your worldviews. No, I'm good. What do you? Okay, then how about you offer a substantive specific rebuttal?
Yes, here's my rebuttal.
It'll make sense if you just calm yourself a little bit.
And offer a substantive specific rebuttal. I don't need your color commentary from a gamma.
Calm down. That's my rebuttal.
I don't care what gamma males think of me, so continue to respond with some substantive specificity.
I don't know what that means with it, but what you're doing right now is just
gamma. You're trying to tell me what you think of me. I couldn't care less than I do.
I'm trying to moderate.
To the point.
Yeah.
Okay, listen, I'm trying to moderate. You're making it so that nobody can have an actual conversation. You're actually disrupting the flow of the room to have any kind of reasonable adult conversation. I know you don't believe that, but I promise you, I'm not exaggerating. It is you. You're a little bit hype. You're yelling in your mic. You're sort of not letting anyone talk. You're interrupting constantly. You just got to calm it down like 50% and everything will be cool. Now, I don't know if you're going to be mad or not when I unmute you, but try to just hear what I'm saying because I'm not being a dick. I'm being honest.
No, I just want people to respond to what I'm actually saying instead of talking about me like they're obsessed with me because it's weird. I don't care what people think of me. Just respond to what I'm saying specifically.
Well, we're going down a line of questioning to determine how well you understand this stuff. So I'm asking you these questions, and I want to know whether you're scared to answer them. And so far, the answer is yes. I'm scared to answer them.
No, I've answered every question. What question was I scared to answer? See, you had to throw that little backhanded gamma male self-projection in. You had to from the start. You couldn't help it. From the very start, you had to because it's like this thing with you, bro. I don't know who you are. You're probably too old to be doing this, and you're probably a fucking loser. And you want to try to embarrass me or something. And the truth is, you're self-projecting that you're scared to answer questions. Bro, I'm not scared of shit. What do I gain by saying that the earth is flat other than just being a real one, something you know nothing about? Ask any question that you can come up with, and I'll answer it. You can't answer about 50 questions I could ask you. So stop self-projecting.
Brother, chill it, brother. It's all good. It's all good. Let's be nice to one another and let's get this debate on the table.
Now, he did answer 3 times. I did hear him answer 3 times. He said it would be equal.
Well, let's keep in mind, Flatties, that the Globers are trying to get us to lose our stuff and just embarrass, ourselves with an angry outburst. They'll pretend not to get it. They'll be obtuse, recalcitrant, stubborn, not grant any concession. They basically don't want you operating intellectually. They just want you flustered and frustrated, for a photo op or an embarrassing moment. So just try to keep it,
he's very triggered right now, and he's refusing to answer the question.
Lemon, I love you, bro. I love you, bro. Very well said.
Why don't you clarify first, Witsit?
My bad. I need to calm down.
Let's get into the combo, Jake.
Look, give them the photo op. Just give them the information. That's it, and then move on. They will try to frustrate you on purpose.
Thank you, Lemon. Jake,
Witsit, we pull a vacuum on that container to empty it, and then we fill it with helium. Okay, we fill it with helium. Now, tell me. Is there going to be a way is the weight of the container going to change? Is it going to register an increase in the weight when we put that sealed container with the helium in it on the scale and compare it to the weight with the container with the vacuum?
If we put helium in a container, is the weight going to change?
Right. Is it going to be heavier when we put the helium in the container versus a vacuum of the container?
No, I wouldn't think it would be heavier because helium's, of course, lighter than air.
So it would be lighter than when you pull the vacuum on
it. Yeah.
Okay, that's false, by the way. many experiments that demonstrate that. That's something that they do in science classes because that's
Well, if you're actually, wait, time out.
think.
Wait, time out. To clarify,
and that's not what the case is.
Are you talking about adding gas to a vacuum?
We draw a vacuum on the container. We draw a vacuum on the container.
If you're adding gas to a vacuum, of course, something is more than nothing, right? So
please explain it again to him for the 9th time because he wasn't listening the first 8 times.
Okay. Anyway, I just answered it.
So now you're saying it's going to be heavier.
Well,
after you said it was going to be lighter.
Yes. If it's a vacuum chamber, sure. If it's empty and there's nothing in it, and then you add something to it, it's going to weigh more.
So even if we add helium to that container, it's going to be heavier.
Yeah.
Right? So helium doesn't actually defy gravity the way the flat earthers claim, right?
Well, that's a container. The reason that helium's a problem for you is that when contained within a light vessel, it naturally wants to mediate the pressure by going up because it's less dense than the air. I mean, it just means that it
but it is heavier. It is heavier in the container.
It directly defies the vector claim of gravity.
Wait a minute. Wait. You just said that the helium weighs more than the container. How do I know how much the container weighs?
No, we weigh the container with the vacuum, which is just the weight of the container because there's nothing in it, and then we put helium in the container, and then we weigh it again. So it's going to be the weight of the container plus the weight of the helium.
Correct. Well, you have to minus the weight of the container to measure how much helium and how much it weighs. Correct.
Right.
I get it.
So now comes the next question. How is the helium pushing harder on the bottom of the container than the top in order to increase the weight on the scale? Because if the helium was pushing harder on the top than the bottom, then it would weigh less on the scale. It wouldn't weigh more. But it weighs more, which means...
Do you have to have the container, bro?
Yeah, it's got to be in the container for this experiment. And in this experiment, the helium is gonna register a higher weight than the container with the vacuum, right?
Well, weight is what?
Force times
weight.
Why are you explaining weight to him?
Yeah,
calm down, dude. So on the sideline, people immediately freak out, dude. Calm down.
Everybody calm down, because seriously, if you look into weight, they've changed weight and scales over the years. Have you looked into that?
Listen, intellectuals understand there are some muddy water areas with certain definitions, and so to have a productive intellectual conversation or exchange, you must understand the common ground interpretation or connotation of certain terms that are being used in that discussion.
Yeah, if he was being honest and he didn't know what weight was at the beginning of the conversation, he would have said it then.
No, it's not that I don't. It's not that I'm being dishonest or don't know what weight is. I disagree with what you're overlooking as your connotation claim or causation of what weight is.
Sure about you said weight, you should have asked earlier.
If you knew you had a different definition of weight than the rest of us, you should have provided that at the beginning.
Okay, well, I was still answering your questions, entertaining you because you said I was scared of your questions.
No.
So, and if I had said that, you would have said, "See, you're scared of our questions," and then everyone would have jumped in and said it. So, moving on. What's your rebuttal? Do you actually have a rebuttal?
We have to figure out why is the helium pushing on the bottom of the container harder than it's pushing on the top. What is causing that?
What is causing that?
Yeah, why does the helium push on the bottom of the container harder than it pushes on the top? Why?
Because it's trying to get up where it wants to goes up.
But why? Oh my!
So then it would be pushing higher on the top.
Well, why? Where it wants to goes up. So.
But any gas that we put in there, even gases that are heavier than air, it's gonna push down. It doesn't have to be helium. Helium pushes down too.
What is your point?
My point is, there's got to be some explanation on the flat Earth why the gas pushes on the bottom of the container harder than the top.
Okay, so if there has to be an explanation on the flat Earth, what is your explanation on the globe Earth?
On the globe,
gravity.
Gravity. Okay, so what type of gravity exactly?
Doesn't
The
matter.
same type of
It doesn't matter.
Oh my god.
Yeah,
It
downward
absolutely
acceleration.
matters. What
Downward
gravity is
acceleration.
claiming is
The
causing
mechanics,
the
the
effect.
mechanics of what creates the downward acceleration is irrelevant to the conversation. It's a downward acceleration, and whatever the root cause behind it is, it doesn't matter because it's there and we can measure it.
Okay.
Who cares how it works?
Your claim
Who
is
cares
it's
how it works
wait,
inside
calm
it? It
calm
doesn't
down.
matter.
Your claim is it's irrelevant to the conversation because
It
of
is.
the effect of 9.8 meters per second squared. That's an agreed upon
Flat Earth
general
is claiming-
average of an effect. Stop
Earth is
interrupting me. That's a general agreed upon average of rate of fall of downward acceleration. That's an effect. That's an observable phenomenon. We metrically represent it or describe it. 9.8 meters per second squared, agreed upon average of an effect that generally occurs. That's what that is. Gravity claims causation.
Generally.
You cannot conflate those two, period.
Now, just to be clear, gravity is what we call what happens when that causes things to fall. There's a bunch of different explanations for gravity that are often shorthanded to just gravity, but those theories or explanations are not the observation itself.
You just said gravity causes things to fall. Listen, the effect of things falling is one thing. Gravity claims causation.
See, this is why I'm trying to clarify when you're just sticking to one word. Gravity is the thing that happens. We have explanations for the things that happen that are often shorthanded to just gravity as well.
No, the thing that happens is things fall down.
If we want to be
Things
clear,
fall down. You claim the cause of that being gravity. Those are two different things. You are, once again, after I prefaced this, you are conflating cause and effects after I literally prefaced it by saying don't do that. So you're conflating cause and effect. So the effect of something falling is not the same as the claimed causation of gravity.
I said the gravity was the thing for why things fall.
Yeah, exactly. Gravity claims to be the cause.
Let me finish. We have different explanations that try to detail that cause that are often shorthanded as gravity. We're not claiming the details of that cause when we just say gravity.
Okay, an acknowledgement of the effect is not synonymous with a claimed causation, even if your claimed causation is open-ended.
Okay,
isn't that what you just said?
But you acknowledge that there's an effect that's going to make the gas push harder on the bottom than on the top. It's going to.
Whoa! Right? You're freaking out.
But I'm just asking.
I'm freaking out.
I'm trying to get you to explain why it pushes harder on the bottom than the top.
Okay, if you assume weight equals mg, you presuppose the connotation of g. Now we're discussing g itself. Now g is oftentimes to the layman or the uninformed person conflated when it comes to little g and big G. The effect of something falling is oftentimes conflated into actually being what gravity is, which gravity, in fact, claims to be the cause of things falling. Things falling is an observable phenomenon. We have an agreed upon average of how fast those things will fall. That's 9.8 meters per second squared. Once, of course, the downward trajectory is chosen, that's an agreed upon average of how fast it will fall. It is conflated to majority of the public to mean the claimed causation is the effect, but of course, they are completely different things. And
that's fine. That acceleration is called
period.
That acceleration, the 9.8, is called standard gravity, which is the acceleration due to the cause of which is gravity.
Wait, see what you just said? Will you repeat what you just said?
A downward acceleration to 9.8 meters per second is often called standard gravity. That acceleration is caused by gravity on Earth.
Okay, so that acceleration isn't the cause, right? So gravity claims to be the cause. Right, so gravity claims to be the cause, so the observable phenomena itself isn't evidence or proof of the claimed cause. Okay, so, well, that's what y'all were doing. Y'all were conflating
Gravity is
Is
the
this
name
being recorded?
Gravity is the name for whatever it is that causes the acceleration of standard gravity, or whatever the actual local gravity is.
Little g and big G are conflated. Effect and cause are different things. Is this being recorded?
No one brought up big G except you.
It is. It will be replayed at your next court date. Just be mindful.
That's a cool story.
Well, the thing is, gravity has two kind of contradictory conceptions. The Newtonian said there was the center of mass, despite the fact that nobody's been to the center of mass to offer confirmation. The Einsteinian said it was the effect of space-time. By calling it an effect, it just took for granted what the cause was without really confirming what the cause was in the first place.
Do you have to go to the center of a bowling ball to determine its mass?
Yeah, we've been over this time and time again. Center of gravity is a mathematical convenience. It has nothing to do with any actual cause.
That's convenient.
What relation does it have to reality beyond the reified conception? Are we talking about something
nothing,
that's
of course.
here or just a concept?
It gives a simplified way to write it mathematically.
The center of gravity
mathematical constructions based on reification of presuppositions.
The center of gravity is where the net acceleration due to gravity will point.
Have we verified that this thing exists? If not, then this may be
It's not a
reification.
thing.
It's going to be.
Hey, if gravity has a singular vector of down relative to the center of mass, how can it act as sufficient containment for the omnidirectional dispersal of gas?
Do you know what I mean by net acceleration?
Hey, if gravity has a singular vector of down relative to the center of mass, how can it act as sufficient containment for the omnidirectional dispersal of gas?
What the experiment shows, though, that the omnidirectional nature of gas is given a preferred direction in the container. That's why it pushes harder on the bottom than the top, because it's not omnidirectional within the container.
Within the what?
Container,
Within the what?
Harder on the bottom.
Oh, you're arguing for me. You don't even realize it, and you're really arrogant about it. It's pretty funny.
You have an explanation for why the gas is not
Is in a container? Yeah, because containers are required. What's up? What's the next question?
Omnidirectional in the container. Why is it?
Well, why does gas ask omnidirectional? Well, that's my question, because you claim that gravity is the containment of. Listen, you say that gravity is the containment of gas, right? So I'm trying to figure out if gravity is the containment for gas, and gravity has a singular vector of down relative to the center of mass.
Gravity is not the containment of gas.
Gravity has a singular vector of down relative to the center of mass, and then the closest to the center of mass that we can get for practical, usability purposes is the surface. So if there's a singular vector of down relative to the center of mass, the surface is the closest to the center of mass, and gas is omnidirectional in its dispersal at the surface, then that singular vector of down relative to the center of mass is not acting as sufficient containment or prohibition of the omnidirectional dispersal of the gas.
But we're seeing that the gas is not acting omnidirectionally in the container because it's pushing harder on the bottom than on the top.
In a container, okay, so when I let gas out of the container at the surface of the earth, what happens?
Hey, Jake.
But when I
let the gas out of the container at the surface of the earth, what happens?
It tends downward.
So will some of the gas particles go directly up?
But more of them go down.
Is one of the potential vectors? Is one of the potential vectors directly up?
Not for long.
That depends on how.
Yeah, no, it is. Yeah, they are. Some of the potential vectors are up, but more of them are down.
Okay,
Well, the
so
thing is, you're talking
potential
about
vectors
gravity.
Where's the
You're
opening?
talking about gravity like it's the organizing force of reality. That's a metaphor.
So the question is, what's it on the flat Earth? What makes the gas in the container prefer to go down than up?
Oh, it's very simple. Gas, right? So we have all these different gases that are on Earth. It's almost like the Earth. Y'all are freaking out already. It's almost like the Earth. It's almost like the Earth was created or something. I don't know. Please chill, dude. It's almost like the Earth was. It's almost like the Earth. Can I just say something, man? So it's almost like y'all are scared.
Saying anything.
Hold on.
Why are y'all so scared?
What's it? Why did I turn the heat up right now?
What are you trying to say, Curved?
Why are y'all attacking me so quickly? It's very
Just hold on with
telling.
it. Just hold on with it.
You can't have a conversation like this.
Yeah, you're scared.
Okay. Okay. Is that what you're saying? Basically, is It's impossible.
What? Okay, so
There's the fucking
Hold on,
opening in the
hold on.
container that he kept babbling about.
But
Was the
well,
gas
the only
gonna go
problem.
up and down? It's going to expand wherever it's able to expand to, and then you can work out what it's going to do from there.
wait, can I answer the question, please? He asked about the gradient. I was trying to answer it, and everyone freaked out and attacked me. So all I'm trying to say is
No one freaked
it's very,
out, little girl.
bro. Can I
Calm
just give
down.
it? Can you just calm down and give me a couple
In the
seconds?
middle of
You
talking,
didn't interrupt him with
Please calm down.
just sit with your hands on your sit on your hands.
Oh,
Just
so
say,
I was
"Listen,
asked the
Kirk,
question. Y'all were scared of the
guys are
answer.
both
Now
looking
he
at
interrupted
your
me, and he gets the floor. Got it.
We're just trying to figure out what he's trying to say, and I can't quite hear him because he's lower than you. So when you talk, it overlaps him.
Okay, well, going back to the problematic conception that Globers have of gravity.
Hey, Lemon, Witsit is next. He was about to answer the question. We just asked him to pause for a second. Wasn't an invitation for you to then surf the mic.
I'm jumping right on in there. Sorry, Witsit.
So Witsit, I think it's your turn back to answer that question you wanted to answer.
Okay, so dude's asking about the gas and the gradient on the Earth. So there's this it's crazy. It's almost as if the Earth were created or something, but it acts as if it is this closed dynamic system that's self-sustainable, and it creates an inhabitable environment for those of us that are on the Earth. And gas, there's numerous different types of them. They cycle in and out based on the homeostasis and the environment in and of itself that's at the surface. Majority of the action takes place at the surface, of course, that being majority of the matter, the inhabitants of humans and animals and trees and vegetation, etc. And of course, compilations of matter have an electrostatic nature as well. The Earth acts as a cavity resonator, has resonance field, but beyond that, small side notes, but simply the Earth is a closed dynamic system. And of course, with all of those processes going on at the surface, there will be a higher concentration due to the constant introduction, more so reintroduction of gases at the surface.
All right, Stacy or Becky, please explain what the fuck he just said for the last 2 minutes.
Can I just throw one thing in there? He said the acceleration is down to the center of mass. Even on a flat plane, that would not make the acceleration vector perpendicular to all the surfaces.
Well, the closest thing that we have to an organizing principle is frequency. It appears that you guys are treating gravity like it is the organizing structure of reality. You're not really treating it like a force. You didn't treat it like a force from the Newtonian conception where it's going to the center of mass, and then you changed it to the curvature of space-time. That basically makes gravity the mass itself and everything around the mass in space-time. At that point, you're talking about the structure of reality itself. So if you're going to make that sort of metaphysical claim, you have to go with what gives you organization, and the closest thing that gives organization like that is frequency. Put salt on a cymatic plate and it will organize itself into different shapes and different structures there alone by the frequency. So the closest thing to go with what you're really talking about, the thing that organizes reality into an up and down, left, right, whatever structure, is really frequency. It's not really gravity.
Boom.
So,
fuck is that?
Are you saying?
Oh, y'all freaking out about what he said too.
Are you basically suggesting that the pressure gradient is because, like, the land and the trees are somehow emitting a constant flow of gas that keeps the pressure higher near the surface? Is that basically what you said?
Well, actually, I said a bit more than that. So,
But is that
the
what the claim is?
compilation of the matter is a detail, right? Of course,
So now you think mass attracts mass.
No, can I just talk, or are you just gonna freak out? So, yeah, there's a compilation of matter, of course, of the surface that's higher relative to above it, and everything's inherently electrostatic. So that plays a small role. It's pretty negligible, though.
So is it an electrostatic force that's making the gas in the container push harder on the bottom of the container than on the top?
And of course, there's also energy coming from the sun. So when the energy comes from the sun, can you please chill out? So the energy comes from the sun, and of course, that also affects the dispersal of gas. So energy coming down, and of course, the absorption rate of the energy from the sun is relative to the amount of compilation or the compilation of matter.
But I'm just worried about the pressure gradient in the container because the container is not being heated by the sun.
There's also gas being introduced at the surface level, right? And so if there's this cycle that takes place, and its primary use is at the surface. Yeah, it's a closed dynamic system, and we have a gas.
About in the container. Why is there a pressure gradient in the container?
Are you not listening?
Maybe we should specify the little container, not the
that
big
guy
one that
doesn't
you
listen.
think is around the Earth.
Right. We're talking about in the container.
This guy doesn't listen either. What's up?
You're not answering the question, dude.
Yeah, in the pressure gradient that's in the container, the small container in the picture that's sitting on a scale. Imagine this is sitting on somebody's desk somewhere. Okay. Why is there a pressure gradient that's causing the gas to push down on the bottom of the container harder than the top? And you can take that container and flip it upside down, and it'll still do the same. It'll keep pushing. The gas will reorient itself to push harder on the bottom of the container than on the top. Why?
Okay, yeah. Well, what happened if you continuously introduce gas at the surface?
The pressure will keep going up.
How about
the pressure will keep rising, which, by the way, we don't see on the Earth.
Would there be a higher concentration at the bottom of the container?
Answering the question. He's talking about the small container.
I am answering the question.
We're not introducing
any
gas.
gas.
So you can just
okay. Well, yeah.
Scared to answer the question.
Scared to answer what question? You're asking. So wait, time out to clarify.
The small container on the scale. Why does it have a differential?
It's just a tiny container. Why are you so afraid?
You can answer that.
It's okay.
You can answer that with cohesive forces. If the liquid or whatever is in the container is pulling on its own self, it's going to tend to have cohesive forces that'll have a general downward direction if it's contained anyway.
Wait, I don't even know. Wait, time out. I'm trying to understand I'm scared of what question exactly.
The question is, if you have a container like a box, okay, a box on a scale in the lab, if you have a small box and it's sealed, there's gas inside of it. Inside that box, the gas will tend to be pushing down more than up. And the question is why?
Does it always happen with all the gases?
Yeah.
Okay, so with all the gases, you're saying that there seems to be a downward bias.
Yeah, inside a closed container, if you put the gas inside this closed container, seal it up, there's going to be a downward bias inside that container.
Okay. Did you account for the electrostatic nature of the gas particles?
Bruh.
That's very cool.
Why would that give you a downward
Damn, I was
direction,
so scared of
even
that
if you
question,
reorient
dude.
the
Holy
box?
shit. I was trembling.
Yeah,
that question had me trembling, bro.
Yeah, why would that cause a force to be acted on?
Wait, what? Why would what?
Electrostatic? What?
Do you not know what electrostatics is?
Yeah.
Yeah, they don't really work
You do?
The gas would need to have some kind of a positive or a negative charge to be acted on.
Okay, so
and the box would
are
need
you saying that the gas is going to not be electrostatic?
It's neutrally, right. It's not an ionized gas. It's neutrally charged. So it's not going to be attracted.
So you're going to use specifically a noble gas?
We could use any.
That's not what you said.
No. Okay, so you're saying you're going to use a neutrally charged gas.
Right. Regular helium that you buy in the store is not an ionized gas. It's neutrally charged.
Okay, so is it electrostatic?
He doesn't know what those.
No, because it's neutrally charged. It won't be attracted. It won't be attracted to an electrical field.
Okay, it's neutrally charged because the protons balance it out, but that still means that there's a charge there inherently, correct?
You understand?
Okay, cool. So you need to research resonance. You need to understand the resonance of electrostatics, or more specifically, dielectricity, and the way that. Okay.
So hold on a second.
The presupposed causation of gravity is bullshit.
Hold on a second.
Everything is inherently electrostatic. It's very simple, bro.
Okay, hold on a second. Hold on.
I did.
If you want to go with that, we'll go with it. But now you're going to say, how is the gas kept from being sucked into the vacuum of space? It's the electrostatic charge of the gas being attracted to the
well, So you're trying to use mine, but too bad it doesn't
Now
work.
you're going to use his argument.
But too bad it doesn't work. It's so negligible. It's so negligible.
We can
No,
use your
I'll teach
explanation
you,
for
but you need
gravity,
to calm
and it's
down.
still-
Okay.
We can use your
Yeah,
explanation
yeah.
for
It does
Hey,
exist.
we
It
live
does
without
exist,
arguing
but
for
it's
20 minutes.
negligible.
What's it?
Why y'all gotta interrupt
Stop
me?
over talking everyone.
He's trying to
constantly,
tell
dude.
me
You're not-
what my argument is.
You won't stop talking, dude. You won't stop.
Because he's
You just
trying to
gotta
tell
let
me
people
what
finish
my
their thoughts.
argument is.
It doesn't matter, though.
It
doesn't matter.
It's self-contradictory because
if you overtalk every single time, whoever's talking right now, can you just give it a second? Because if you overtalk every single time, no one can hear anything anyway. We can't hear that you're saying he's misrepresenting you. We can't hear what he's saying. It just becomes noise for everybody. So it'd be better to wait till he's done and then point out that he misrepresented you.
Okay, fair enough. But I mean, I'm gonna sit for 2 minutes. I mean, don't just say my argument wrong. Whatever. Go ahead.
If it's really negligible, it wouldn't be measurable.
Okay, so yeah, it's negligible in the sense that it isn't affecting the omnidirectional dispersal of gas.
It
For
is
example,
because
if
it's
I take a
greatly increasing the weight on the scale.
Look, you're freaking out. Okay, so if I take a helium, listen, if I take a balloon, not a helium balloon, just any balloon, right? I got a balloon and then I rub it on my shirt and I put it on the wall. It's going to stick on that wall. That's because it's electrostatics. It's going to keep it to the wall, obviously. Gravity's nowhere. So gravity's not anywhere to be found. Gravity's not anywhere to be found. So we know electrostatics. We know electrostatics is dominant over the purported gravity, not a force acts like a force bendy space-time shit. So we know that. We know that. Now you attempted to. Why can't I finish?
Let Jake respond.
Dude
because you've
attempted
been going
to.
for a while. You made 2 points. You made 2 points. I'll let him respond.
They are scared.
Wait. Let him finish his point. Like you
He's on the
said,
third
and then
point,
rebuttal, because then we have an understanding and move in circles.
He's on
It's
his
all
third
good,
point,
Stacey. They're
Stacey.
just scared to hear me say my full point.
All we want to do is have 1 point response. 1 point response.
No, you want to not make sure I can make my full point because you can't rebuttal to them typically.
What's happening?
I'll
is
offer
that because
rebuttals.
Okay, so can I just finish what I'm saying without you interrupting?
No,
What's
please
happening
don't.
is because
Actually,
Well, we're gonna get to it somehow or another. We have to be muted, Jack. You can be, but it's just
you already have.
So the problem is with it that if you keep going on and on and on in a long string, people's patience will run out and they're gonna start interrupting you. Once that
No,
happens,
the problem
then
is you're a
gonna feel
shill
justified
and you're afraid to hear the
to
truth.
interrupt them. And you're gonna feel justified to interrupt them, and then it turns into chaos because you both have an actual reason, a good claim as to why you're doing it. And so, what we need
Scott,
to do is
you want to
eliminate
let
the
5
idea that you both
people
have good
attack
claims.
me. Scott, you let 5 people attack me, and then I start to talk, and I'm trying to be very. Yeah, but Scott, exactly. You know that's what's happening, though, right? And I'm trying to be very concise with my. There you go, interrupting me. There you go. I'm trying to be very concise with my points, and I know it. Oh, there we go again. So I try to be very concise with my points, so that. Oh, there we go again. I'm trying to be very concise. Why you keep interrupting me, Scott? You scared of what I'm about to say? You scared of what I'm about to say, bro?
Let's interrupt each other.
Why are you so scared of what I'm about to say? How could what I'm about to say on a headphone in 2020 scare you, bro?
Calm down.
Can I make a point real quick?
I am calm, bro. I'm calm. I'm laughing.
Can I make a point? Seriously. I think why Witsit gets this way too is because when this was being talked about, you guys were denying static electricity. That then turned around and said, "Oh, that's what's happening up in space. I mean, in our atmosphere." And in reality, how can you go from one thing to the next? You proved his argument.
Stacey. No one denies static electricity ever, and he wasn't literally saying that's the truth. He was making a point.
We're denying it at the beginning.
Let me finish. Nobody was denying static electricity. You misheard if you think that's true. Everyone's aware that electrostatics is a thing. And then when he said that you could use the same argument against the existence of a container, he's making the point that the argument is broken. Is if he can use it to explain away this small box, then everything else.
Now what happened was I brought up the electrostatics, and then the dude said, "Okay, so the electrostatics is acting as containment of a gas." And I said, no. That's a straw man. I never said that. I'm just saying that's all that's there. You're making a claim additional to electrostatics. Why you have to keep interrupting me because you know I'm exposing you.
He's making a point with it.
You have to interrupt me because you know I expose you. That's the only reason you have to interrupt me. Okay, so now you're afraid of what I'm gonna say. So
I already heard you.
electrostatics is gravity is additional to that claim, right? So we know electrostatics. Stop, dude. Just chill,
I said,
dude.
okay, cool.
Jesus
Okay,
Christ.
cool.
Okay, just listen, man. So gravity is additional to electrostatics, although we know electrostatics to be much stronger than gravity purports to be, and there's no physical evidence of that at all. Of course, we can't physically manipulate and understand that dielectricity, electrostatics does exist. And we know it's much stronger than gravity even claims to be, and it doesn't act as sufficient containment for the omnidirectional dispersal of gas. So there's no way gravity does, because electrostatics doesn't. There's no way gravity does.
Okay, so
objectively.
Okay, I heard you. So he was making a point. When he answered you, he was making a point that your response, your explanation for why it was tending to push downward rather than upward, your response refutes many of your other claims. It's a broken response. If indeed that's the cause of this omnidirectional behavior, then you don't need a container anywhere. And yet you claim you need a container.
Excuse me?
What are you talking about? You just strawman the shit out of me. At least this is being recorded, though.
Okay,
So-
well then explain why that wouldn't be the case. If we're strawmanning you, explain why that wouldn't be the case.
Okay, well, listen then. So if electrostatics is present, but we know electrostatics to be much stronger than gravity even claims or purports to be, and electrostatics doesn't act as containment of the omnidirectional dispersal of gas because it is much weaker than that, because gas in the air, right, just disperses omnidirectional. It seeks equilibrium or pressure mediation takes over all. It has nothing. It doesn't have an opinion about it. It just happens, right? If electrostatics is present and it's known to be way stronger than gravity, meaning you could never detect gravity if electrostatics was present because it's stronger than gravity claims to be, and electrostatics isn't acting as containment of the omnidirectional dispersal of gas. Gravity certainly isn't doing it. And yeah, welcome to the club. Welcome to Flat Earth. Electrostatics is there. And no, it doesn't act as containment either.
So if that's true, hold on a second, Scott. Hold on a second. So if that's true, can you use the example if I take a balloon and I rub it, it'll rub it on my shirt, it'll stick to my shirt, right? Because of electrostatics, and it'll defy gravity, right?
Yeah.
But what if that balloon is filled with water? What if it's a water balloon? Will it also behave the same way?
No, the water will make it fall. You think that manipulating the density substantiates your claim?
I thought you said electrostatics.
You think that manipulating the density? Well, the electrostatics is obviously factored in.
You said electrostatics is much stronger than gravity.
The electrostatics is factored in relative to the density of the object. Obviously.
Okay. Come on.
Wow.
Clearly.
Anyway, when I take that balloon and I measure it.
Hold on, let him respond. You all you do is overtalk people. Just let him say what he wants to say, man. Go, Jake, go.
Well, so then you're now invoking density as a different force than electrostatics, right?
Why? Well, I never said density was a force. Cool, strong man.
Okay, then why is the water balloon falling to the ground and not being stuck to the
because it's
electrostatics in
more
my
dense
shirt?
than the air. You're laughing because I don't know. Scott just laughed as if he was some intellectual superior. Because stop out. Scott just laughed because as if he's some intellectual superior. Because I do not agree with the presupposed axiomatic interpretation of what he was proposing, and that makes me stupid.
I wasn't being insulting, but this is why I laughed. You said I never invoked density as a force. Hold on, let me respond. You said I never invoked density as a force, and then he said, okay, then why does the water balloon fall? And you said because the density is greater, and then it sounded funny to me because you literally just said you never invoked it, and then you invoked it. That's all.
No. You just misunderstood because you were so anxious to try to think that I slipped up.
I don't think that's true.
What happened? No, but the part that you left out.
Density was a force except you guys.
Yeah, the part.
Well, then why does
the part that you don't want to mention was that I pointed out I didn't call it a force. I did not call density a force. That's a presupposed axiomatic interpretation or claim that you're making. So the acceleration, the axiomatic antecedent being force. Look, y'all have to keep interrupting me because you know that I'm dismantling your bullshit.
Why does the water balloon fall? Is the question you haven't answered?
Because it's more dense than the medium it's encompassed in. The density of the medium it's encompassed in has a relative relationship with the object, the density of the object. So it is. Stop. It seeks equilibrium because pressure mediates.
Not heard.
Yes,
every
that's
time
exactly
you
what he's doing, dude.
So people cannot hear the actual fact of the reality.
Force? He doesn't answer the question. It's a simple
That's all he
question.
can do
If
is
the
interrupt
balloon-
me so people can't hear my
the balloon
point.
Falls. You said the balloon falls because of relative density. What's the force?
You said what's the force? So once again, I'm not claiming a force. You're claiming the axiomatic assumption that for acceleration, the antecedent is force. You're claiming the causation of the force. What I'm saying is that the direction of equilibrium that is sought is relative to the density of the object, relative to the medium it's encompassed in.
So you think
you're making additional claims void of physical empirical evidence, trying to flip the script onto me via straw man's at a rudimentary level, and it's not going to work. Interrupting me is not going to change that either.
You're just going on and on. You just add all this extra stuff in order to get people not to respond to your original point. If you were really
as long as it's being recorded, I'm good because you just lost.
Listen to my response. Are you making an argument that acceleration happens without force?
No. I'm not. My argument is that we observe that typically things fall down. Sometimes they go up, right? And yeah, when you remove the physical impedance, that there will be equilibrium that is sought. That is because pressure mediates always, consistently, forever, everywhere. So when there's no physical impedance, an object will seek rest. It will seek equilibrium. Pressure will mediate. Okay? And that's what happens. And that's relative to the density of that object and its relationship with the density of the medium. And it's very simple. Manipulate it. We can manipulate that. We can change the density of the medium, and we can show that affects the directionality of the objects.
Can something accelerate without a force was the question. You haven't answered that yet.
I do not stake the axiomatic claim that acceleration cannot exist without a force. You do that.
Okay.
Right.
So yes, you think it can accelerate without force.
Well, did you hear what I just said? Your immediate response was to bow tie it, to wrap it up and bow tie it in a straw man. That was your immediate response.
But if you're denying,
I thought that's exactly what you said.
If you're denying that acceleration,
you said that you did not. Hold on.
No, you have to leave out what I say and change it because what I say is very specific for a reason.
Okay, well,
I do not stake the definitive axiomatic claim that you do that acceleration cannot exist without a force. I said if you remove physical listen, bro, if you remove physical impedance, then acceleration can occur simply because of the density of the object relative to the density of the medium it's encompassed in. You remove the physical impedance. If you remove physical impedance, that is not synonymous with force, period.
Can I not summarize that? And acceleration can exist without a force then. That's what you said, right?
Yeah. Bro, I said yes, I don't agree with your axiomatic claim.
A minute ago?
Because the way you said it, you wanted to leave out what I said because you know I was specific in making my point.
No, I was just saying.
Yeah, you were misrepresenting you were misrepresenting the entirety of my points. You didn't want the entirety of my point to be known. Does anyone want to respond to my actual point now?
You got to represent his emotions correctly.
Nobody. That's a shocker.
So I think the problem with
can anybody respond with substantive specificity to my point?
So hang on.
I think the problem with what you're saying is that you're going to need to reinvent entire-based physics.
I need to reinvent physics. Okay, that's Scott's fucking profound response. Do we got anybody else?
So because you've broken basically the three laws of motion. If you don't believe there are forces.
Okay, cowardly appeal to authority from Scott. Anyone else have a response?
Well, it means that everything we've been doing, everything we've built, everything we designed, all the things that we build in this world that make use of the three laws of motion, it means that we've just gotten lucky according to you. And that there's something else going on. Something that is somehow randomly, luckily caught.
That's a cool straw man, dude. Wow, dude. What a cool story. Actually, there's a difference in prediction and post-diction. Things reverse engineered based on observable phenomena, presupposing causation based on what's already there, reoccurring, means nothing. It doesn't substantiate your claimed causation. And this is like third grade level shit. You're saying it as if it makes me dumb. I don't believe your fairy tales. I disavow your fairy tales and your Jesuit space monkey religion. I'm sorry about it.
totally don't
I
understand
did
what I'm
it.
saying.
I'm sorry about the fact that I disavow your vain religious superstition.
Okay, you don't need to be
but
sorry.
when we debate a certain subject, you should try to be specific to it, right? Like don't appeal to
I don't think you understood it.
the vague nature of the entirety of physics must be changed. What a clown!
When you get rid of the three laws of motion, okay, but you're interrupting again. When you get rid of the three laws of motion, that's exactly what you do, though. When you say the three laws of motion don't apply anymore, hold on, just relax, dude. You really do overtalk like nonstop. I don't know how you
Shut
can't sense
up! Stop color. I don't care about your color commentary.
Yeah, but this is what you do constantly. So if you don't care about it, then maybe you should stop
get to
doing
the
it,
point.
huh?
Do you want a consensus vote whether you're doing it?
Break the three laws of
Get to the
motion.
point.
If you break the
No, I don't want a consensus vote. I don't want a consensus vote within the echo chamber. Jesus,
Stacey, you think that we're the ones that interrupt him? This is ridiculous.
No. I'm just asking for points now.
Well, there's like 10 people asking me questions, and then when I respond to one of the 10, you act like
that Witsit will not let me talk because he is obsessed with being the one that talks constantly.
That's not true.
Here's the point. If you get rid of the three laws of motion, you what?
It's called a gish gallop.
Oh, look at this about a minute of bullshit. Do you have a response of specificity?
Okay, if you would not interrupt, I could make it. So here's the
I'm
thing.
just sitting here.
For all the mechanics and buildings and objects and vehicles that we've built, right? They're all based on these three laws of motion, right? These are one of the fundamental aspects of base physics. Agreed? So if you're saying these three laws of motion...
No, disagree. They're all based on all three laws of motion. Is that your claim?
Yes, all three laws of motion apply to every single one of them, yeah.
All three apply to every single one of what?
Yes. Of every
what?
vehicle, every object, every mechanical device we've ever made.
Everything in this world, you're saying?
Okay, so on the local scale in the natural world, the laws of motion apply.
So I'm saying, if you're saying that these aren't true, that you don't really, they don't make sense, you don't need a force.
No, they're not true up in your fairy tale space medium.
Sake. Then if you're saying they're not true, if you're saying you don't need them, then it means that we've just been getting lucky, right? Because we don't really need these laws that we've been using.
No, strong. Man,
we're getting this to work because
man, when you see something,
it's not that we're just getting lucky. It was
measuring stuff.
It's not that we were just getting lucky. It was reverse engineered based on that. Okay. So please stop strawmanning me with that elementary ass approach, bro.
Okay, so let's look at the main difference between the two conceptions.
Mm-hmm.
Gravity is saying that this matter is pulling stuff toward its center. What we seem to be implying is that there is always a medium, a background medium, setting up the rules for what rises, sinks, or floats. This background medium, I think, would be referred to as ether, or some sort of electromagnetic field with vibrational frequencies that determines what goes up, what goes down, and what floats. So
in the example, in my example, you guys all agreed that it doesn't matter what gas we put in, even the gases that float like helium and hydrogen, the container is going to be heavier because the gas is going to push down harder than it pushes up.
No, it pushes on the walls of the container.
But it's going to push down on the bottom of the container harder than the top. That's why we're able to register. Because we can check because the weight increases on the container.
Okay, but it's
you
because
can measure an increase in weight.
Yeah, it's because you increase the energy within that container, right? I mean,
why is it pushing down harder than it's pushing up?
What do you mean? No, you're just saying that. So you have a container. It's pushing on all the walls of the container. How exactly are you differentiating between the bottom?
It has to push down harder than it pushes up in order to record a change in the weight.
You reify W equals mg. That's what you do.
Can I try and explain it?
I just explained it.
It's more towards the bottom because you're still missing the point that it goes in all directions, and if it's pressing against the container and all the walls.
Stacey, that's why that's important. Is because you're right. It is going in all directions. But
Right.
the fact that there's a weight downwards means that out of all the billions of molecules in there and all the directions are going, the net should be the net effect should be zero, basically. But there's actually a net effect, a net force downwards, which tells you that out of all those molecules and stuff, the average is actually pointed downwards, meaning that there's a
Well,
force.
you're just assuming that whenever you register weight, that your definition or interpretation of weight is accurate, bro.
But what's it? Hold on.
Well,
Can I?
Wait, Kosho, Kosho, can you respond, bro?
Yeah, go ahead. Let Kosho respond. Let Kosho respond.
I'm gonna respond by saying that we allowed you to not get interrupted with it, so please stop interrupting us.
Okay, so he can't answer. Yeah.
Yeah. And what was your question? Just say it one more time.
He said you're conflating the fact that the weight increases, that weight equals mg. That there's some other way that the weight is increasing than weight equals mg.
So the way that those things are calculated is not by guesses or anything like that. They actually have these different volumes of different gases weigh different things, which tell them that the different mass is giving it a different force.
Okay,
So it's not a guess.
Anyway, it requires the application of W equals mg.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh no, it just has to. It has to do with why is there an increase of a force? Why? Because all the scale does is it measures a force.
How do you know there's an increase of a force?
Because that's what the sensor on the scale registers. The
Okay,
sensor on
so the
the
scale
force
doesn't
meter.
register weight; it registers force.
Right.
Right. So actually, it measures acceleration down.
No, it measures a force.
It measures a force.
Right. It measures a force.
Wow, that's a cool story. So
You want to get it?
So
that's how a scale works.
It does
registers a force.
require, of course, it does require weight to equal mg. Correct.
No, I can take the scale and put it against my. I can take a scale.
Require weight equal mg?
No, it doesn't. Because I can take the scale and I could put it against. I could take the scale, put it upside down, and put it on my ceiling, and then I can use a leg press and press with my arms and legs and my hands and increase the weight reading on the scale.
It's measuring the pressure.
Yeah,
it's measuring a force. It's just measuring a force. That's all that it's measuring.
It's measuring the pressure mediation.
Yeah, pressure is force. Okay, pressure is force per
Okay,
area.
that's a cool story. So
I mean, it's a great
presupposing
story. I love that story.
causation, though,
But it's just-
but presupposing, okay, but presupposing causation of weight being mg is a different ballgame that seems to want to keep getting diverted.
It's just measuring a force. That's all the scale is. And what we're seeing in the container is that the gas is creating a force that's stronger on the bottom of the container than on the top.
How do you know that? How do you know that? How do you differentiate between the top and the bottom?
Because the force on the scale increases.
But
And
you
if it
put
was the same
something,
on-
you added material where there wasn't.
Right. But you're saying the material that you add pushes on all sides equally, meaning the forces would cancel out and the scale would register as zero.
No, because you still added material.
Can I try and?
There'd still be a net material gain.
Yes, but the material that you added pushes in all directions.
And then that comes full circle to the reification of W equals mg.
No, it doesn't.
Stop making noises,
It really
Steve.
doesn't, though.
How does it not?
Because you add a material, but your claim is that the material added pushes in all directions equally. If I stand on one side of a box and you stand on the other side of the box, and we both push equally, does the box move?
Yes.
No,
moves
it doesn't.
It moves inward. Yeah, it
No, it
does.
doesn't.
It collapses on
VD,
itself.
VD.
What I'm trying to understand is, what are you even talking about? So if you add volume or material to the chamber, of course, you've added material to the chamber. So yeah,
Which
you're
direction is
acting
that?
like you can skip over. You're acting like you can skip over the increase in density right? And then conflate that to how that wait, time out. Then conflate that to a presupposed causation of downward bias. And that's literally what you're doing. And I'm glad this is being recorded.
There was no increase in density. What are you talking about?
So when you add gas
right
to a vacuum chamber, there's no increase in density. Is that your claim?
Right. Because density is a property of matter.
You want to stick with that one, bro? What's up?
Density is a property of matter. It's not a property of nothing.
So if I have a vacuum chamber and then I put gas in it, did I increase the density?
I wouldn't go down this route. Go back where you were before, because you were doing.
Wait. If I put gas in a vacuum chamber, did the density increase?
No. You want to ask one more time?
Oh, it didn't increase.
Increase, bro.
Okay.
Regardless, he agrees
so a
with
vacuum
you.
chamber isn't less dense than a chamber of gas.
Relevant. That's not even the argument.
That's fucking hysterical. That's what it is.
The argument is about the direction of the force of the gases. You had agreed.
Presupposed.
Listen, you got to stop doing that, man, because I'm not going to stop myself to ask you to stop. So just stop, okay? And I'm not going to interrupt you. But yeah, when the gases are in there, the way the gas behaves, the way we all agree they behave, is on average they should be wandering in all different directions. They have the opportunity to go all different directions. So on average, the net force of a certain amount of gas should be zero. And if you put the scale anywhere, up, down, left, right, whatever, it should be zero. But what happens is if you put it at the bottom of that gas, there's a net force acting against that. And that's what tells us that there's an actual force going in that direction, accelerating the gas in that direction.
You increased matter.
Here's the thing.
It doesn't matter. The matter that we're increasing it by goes omnidirectional, like you said.
Okay, so the matter that we increase it by doesn't matter.
Yeah, no, I said the fact that we're increasing it doesn't matter. The fact is that the
right. So the increase in matter doesn't matter. That's your claim.
Yeah. The fact that we increased it is not the point. The point is
if you have a container, bro, if you have a container on a scale and then you introduce matter to it and then there's a change in what the scale reads, you're saying it has nothing to do with the increase in matter.
Hold on a second. So here's where the whole thing falls apart. The claim of the flat earthers is we can't have gas without a container because the gas is in all directions, so the gas would just escape into space. That's the claim. And our rebuttal is that no, there's a force that tries to keep the gas towards the surface. Right down. There's a force
down. That's the claim, though. That's the claim.
The claim is that there's a force down, which is what we see when we put the gas in the container. There's more force down than up, which proves my point and disproves your point.
That. Wait. So, but here's the problem, man. What you're saying is proof that there's a downward bias, right? That there's more down. What you're saying is that the scale reads something. That is presupposing your interpretation of what the scale is reading, which is W equals mg, bro.
Go ahead, get in there.
Could Dr. Satellite Dish have 30 seconds, please, guys? 30 seconds.
Yeah. Thank you.
So I just want to clarify, because it was mentioned before, but I think we passed over it. A scale doesn't actually measure like the amount of mass. What it measures is the force. So if I am standing on a scale, right, and I have a balloon, and I pick up that balloon and it's lifting me up, like say a pound, then the scale's going to measure 1 less pound. So I'm adding matter, but it's decreasing the force downward.
You're creating more distance.
But you have to presuppose that force downward, and now you're presupposing a decrease in that force downward that you presupposed in the first place.
If I stand
the medium which the scale is in, that you can act against it by having a less dense thing.
Back up your mic, man. Holy shit.
Yeah,
fucking PA announcement?
You can't presuppose. You can't presuppose the interpretation. That's what's in contention, right?
Whitson, if I stand on your head, would you have to presuppose a force downward?
You thought that was a good one?
If you increase the volume,
Okay, going back to the
gases,
scale.
right? So they're going to weigh more, and they're going to find the equilibrium. And oh my goodness,
But the thing
Pressure
is,
mediation.
Yeah,
But you
what's
can
going
look
to
at the-
happen when you take? What's going to happen when you take 5 pounds of helium, right, inside that container, and then let it go into a bag, right? From a tube, from the container through a tube into a bag.
Depends how much the
Bag
bag
blows
weighs.
up. Now that bag's tied to the container. How much does the container weigh?
It depends how much
But
the
what?
bag weighs.
No, what it depends on is what does weigh mean.
No, it depends on how much the bag weighs. Is what it
No,
depends
Kosho,
on.
you say no because you don't
No,
like
so I'm
that.
telling you,
But
that's really what it depends on. The
no,
bag's
our
density
main
is gonna
contention
come into
here
it.
is what is weight. That's our main
Okay,
contention.
weight is a group of interactions with a scale. A group of interactions with the scale can vary under various conditions. If the medium that you are in supports you, you interact with the scale less and your weight will register differently.
Yes.
Going back
But
to
it's simple.
the
It's just a
scale,
force.
going back to
Just
the
think of it as a
scale,
force. That's it. Yeah.
No,
And
it's a
interchange-
pressure mediation. Go ahead, Lemon.
We can interchange the word weight with the word
back-
force.
Lemon's going to go ahead now, Kosho.
No,
The
Lemon doesn't
thing
have to keep
is
going.
that
It's just not.
you're
It's
standing,
not that.
okay, you're standing on the scale and you're holding a bunch of balloons. You're going to squeeze real tight to hold the balloons, even though the balloons are going up, not down on the scale. So the interactions that you're having with the scale are varying because you're taking on a different form, scrunching up real tight to hold on to the balloons, which will register as a different interaction on the scale, potentially as more weight, despite the fact what you're holding is supposed to be going up and going against the scale. So your group of interactions have changed because now you must take on a different form, a scrunched up form, to interact differently with the scale. The
Got what
group
you
of
said a long
interactions has
time ago.
changed.
Okay.
So
It doesn't matter.
the difference
Interaction is
between what
you're
you're
using
saying
or
and what
the
we're
word I'm
saying
using.
is a group of
Yeah, Lemon, it's the
interactions
same
versus
lemon.
a pull to the center of
Lemon, there's
mass.
no-
There's a
there's no
critical
point to
difference there.
describe it.
Let's let Kosho speak now. So let's let Kosho
Kosho's
speak now.
freaking out.
Listen, you're not helping. Let's let Kosho speak. You guys have been interrupting him nonstop.
The interaction you're describing is just a force. That's it. I'm using the word force. You can use the word interaction.
But you're forgetting about the critical differences, Kosho.
That's fine. That's all.
Let him make his point, please.
Scott, please stop being so overtly
Let him make
biased.
his point.
That's all.
What's it? You need to stop interrupting.
All scales measuring, and that's like I said. We basically agree. It's just you're just using different words. And
That's not true. We have critical differences, Kosho. You're talking about a pull to the center of the Earth's mass. I'm talking about a group of interactions that can be mediated by the medium that the object is in that can potentially support the object more and keep it from interacting with the scale less.
Oh, we're agreeing on the same thing. I'm just not using the words you're using. Everything you just said, I agree with. I just wouldn't use those words. I would simply use the force downward, which it can be counteracted by upward forces like buoyancy, for example, which is the other mediations of whatever you're talking about. These are real things, but the force the scale is going to measure is the force that's acting on it, which is going to be the force of the weight minus whatever's pulling it upwards.
Okay, so it comes full circle back to what I said.
So to continue with this, all you got to do is think about weight as a force. You can use those words interchangeably.
Comes full circle back to what I was saying, which is it's the primary contention here is the interpretation or use of weight, because if it's mg, right, mass, gravity, well, the downward force is implied or assumed, and to just skip right over that, to skip right over that. Wait, it literally does though. If you are to
does not.
So do you disavow
No.
W equals mg, or do you use it?
Disavow it.
Do you use
we
it?
do use it.
Okay, so when you use it, what is unspoken within the usability of it is that
Nothing's unspoken.
weight equals mg, mass and gravity. Gravity is a downward acceleration assumed causation of downward
Correct.
bias.
It's an observable, measurable acceleration.
It's
the way you can prove that it's not presupposition or an assumption or whatever else is that you're not making any assumptions. You're viewing a measurement. It's a measurement on the scale. So that is the part that everyone should agree on. That there is a
No,
force
but you are making
acting downward on the
assumptions.
scale. There's no presuppositions there.
Yeah. There is a presupposition though, because if
Okay, but
you
what is it?
assume that the causation of weights is mg, then that is the mass of the object, right? And
No, we don't assume it. We can measure
the
it.
gravity. What?
We can measure it. We don't assume it. We can fucking
Well, we can
measure
measure what?
the mg.
What specifically can you measure? Which part of it?
Take different particles.
Okay, what is mass? What is gravity? You're measuring gravity. How do you measure gravity?
Witty, calm down a sec. The thing that you need to make clear to them, right, yeah, is that when you, let's say, for example, you contain helium and then you weigh that, it will weigh, let's say, 1 gram. Then you weigh another hydrogen. Hydrogen's obviously lighter, and that weighs, let's say that weighs a bit lighter. So then you're going to think, right, there's a difference in the gravitational pull on these molecules, but they're still pushing in all directions. It's because you've captured them and you're weighing the same amount of volume. Yeah, you might get different numbers, but you're still not getting the true weight of the gas you've weighed because it's still pushing in all directions. You might still get different numbers when you've weighed the two separate gases, but they end under the gravitational pull. So the person who said the analogy about if I push on a scale, it registers the force. Then all of a sudden, when you're putting something on the floor and you're weighing it, then it's registering the force of gravity upon these items. It's ridiculous. You're weighing the mass of the material, the molecules. That's what you're weighing. And when the gas is going in all directions, you're still going to get a weight, but it's not actually going to be the true weight down to the nucleus level because they're going in all directions. Gas will always go in all directions.
Oh my gosh, dude.
Here's the beauty of it.
The real question is, why does everyone have to find some way to aid some obfuscation or fucking dilute everything, man? It's like, dude, here's the deal,
that's not an
man.
important point
When you no, it is.
So
It's an important point to make because you're presupposing. Coach, what can I just make my point? You're presupposing.
Is that like your favorite word?
I did his.
You presuppose mass as a conceptual abstraction. You presuppose gravity, which is, of course, a downward acceleration and downward bias, presuppose causation of that. Then you apply that to what you say weight is. And then with that presupposed causation, you tout it as if it is actually substantiation of your primary postulation. In fucking clown world, maybe, but that's not how the real world works. So gravity would have a singular vector of down relative to the center of mass. Yes, gas disperses omnidirectionally. So that doesn't work.
Okay, so what Brummy had said about the different density, it's exactly how you know that the mg is the two variables. The acceleration is what's giving it a force, and regardless, the m is what changes when you add the same volume, but you change the chemicals or the elements from hydrogen to helium to whatever else you're doing. So
what is G?
These different masses are measurable in that they have different weights. And so I feel really stupid saying this again.
What is G?
Because you just disagree with it again.
Finish, dude.
There is certainly a downward force, and that's seen in a scale, even though it's going omnidirectional, which we all agree on.
Presupposed causation.
Which is what you would expect if there wasn't a force. There is a downward force that you're detecting, but that tells you that there is a force there.
Presupposed causation.
No,
you're weighing a container.
Hold
up a second. Hold up, guys.
Coach, you're weighing a container. You're not weighing the gas. The container is causing the downward force. You're not weighing the actual gas. You contain the gas, right? So now you're trying to say, oh, look, we're getting more of a force in this one, but therefore the gas has got more weight because of gravity. No, the gas inside the container is still going in all directions. You just captured it, restrained it, and then put it down on you've actually changed the composition of it, really, because you've covered it in a very solid molecular bond material, the container.
Then presuppose causation with W equals mg. Presuppose causation with the application of W equals mg.
Wait, hold up. Is your issue the fact that they say gravity, like G is gravity, instead of saying like, it's this downward acceleration? Like if they said
they assume,
would that be better?
We had this conversation.
This is what it actually is.
An hour ago.
Actually, it's relative to all kinds of things, right? Like the density, the medium that it's in. Like a dude's 300 pounds, he weighs 300 pounds, right? But so that's what his weight is, 300 pounds. But if I go throw him in a pond or a ocean, he floats, bro. I could like a 5-year-old can swim up to him and just push him over, right? Because it's relative to his medium. So that's one factor, right? So the medium, which is it's just the atmosphere, quote unquote, is just an assumed medium for the application of gravity. That's an assumption of that variance.
It's like you're assuming that weight is gravity. All weight is gravity.
Well, that's just one. I mean, we can keep going. That's the assumption of that variance of the medium.
So we have critical differences here. You're talking about But you're talking about the force of the mass of the ball Earth as opposed to the force of the medium. So that appears to be the main difference. The force of the medium, quote unquote, versus the force of the mass of the Earth.
I mean, you keep coming in with some stuff that's taking it sideways. Okay, just please, I don't mean to be rude, but just
No, Coach, Lemon just hating on you, bro, because he's scared to say what you.
This is actually on point. Okay. Instead of talking about the mass of the Earth, I'm talking about the mass of, say, water, okay, which is a liquid, which is not going in all directions, which is definitely at the bottom of a container.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you had some kind of container that was able to, or was already big enough, let's say, it was a giant plastic container, metal container.
Wait, metal what?
And you weighed it with this water at the bottom. That'd be one thing. If you turn that water into steam inside of this container and didn't let it leave, okay, now it's not on the ground at all. It's not at the bottom at all. It's now a gas. It's gonna weigh the same in this container.
You just said the word container 5 times. I mean, I'm snoozing over here.
Hold on. I want to see that. That's bullshit.
But the thing is, Toto, you're forgetting about.
Hold on. Well, you've added heat to it, haven't you? So what does heat do? Heat adds weight, doesn't it? So it would weigh more, wouldn't it?
Oh,
No. If you put heat inside of it, right? It wouldn't be the same at all because you've added another element.
Oh my God!
It would expand outward and press against the container, leading to more pressure.
How much weight? How much weight, Robbie?
Energy, pressure mediation, quote unquote weight, that's all intertwined.
How much weight?
And weight, what people call weight, is actually relative to a few things. There's a medium, and then there is the amount of matter.
He's allowed to, so that's fine.
It's the amount of matter.
Robbie, how much weight does the heat add, Robbie?
All right, let me try it. So if you,
can you not
Come on, Robbie.
I'm saying.
Back it up. What's the heat add? How much weight? Come on.
All right, so if you weigh a piece of metal, right, that's cold, and then you heat it up and weigh, is it going to weigh the same?
There may be slight fluctuations.
The difference, brother.
Hold on, no, I want to see curved. Are you going to? I want to hear your statement on that. If I heat some metal up and weigh,
what's the increase going to be, Brummy? And can you even measure it?
I'm asking you. I'm assuming.
Brummy, the answer is yes.
No, I'm assuming.
I'm telling you,
but you know what the quantity of that yes
small
is.
Amount.
So if energy is relative to pressure mediation,
completely negligible, irrelevant, barely even.
Hey, Curve, you're a big tough guy.
Is it
I
there or
got a
not?
question for you, dude.
Is
that a yes or no?
Curve, calm down, bro. Why can't we be homies, bro? I thought we were friends.
Other Flatty, speed.
Bitch.
I never got a straight answer.
I was gonna go over the problem with what you were saying.
Hold on. I didn't get a straight answer. So if you heat up metal and weigh, hold on. If you heat up metal and weigh, is it the same as you weigh when it's cold? I just want someone to confirm that for me.
If it's about 1 kilogram mass,
you're gonna even
a speck of dust weighs more than what
we're getting off subject because you're forgetting this is in a container and you're talking about expansion.
Can you measure the difference, Brummy? Why are you trying to make a point of this?
Because you're being an idiot, Curve. I'm trying to have a conversation, Curve.
What do you think you're adding to the conversation?
Can someone mute Curve? Can someone mute Curve? Because I can't have a conversation with it.
What are you doing, Brummy? Answer the fucking question, then.
I'm trying to, but you know when you keep talking. So I'm wondering if or if not, a metal will weigh the same whether it's been heated up or not. That's what I'm asking people.
Oh, now you're wondering.
He's afraid to answer.
You said it would before, Brummy.
I'm just wondering because I haven't done no research, but. Well, from what Kosho said, right, he said, if you put some water in a container and then boiled the water to basically turn it into steam, would it weigh the same? And I'm just assuming that once you've changed some sort of parameters, obviously heat would be added to it. There may be some sort of differential when it turns to steam. I'm just guessing. It was a shot in the wind. It wasn't a statement. It wasn't
a scale, okay? A bathroom scale.
But the bottom,
it's not precise. It doesn't have these minuscule amounts that's negligible.
Okay, but the main point I wanted to get back to is the fact that when you're weighing these gases in a container, right, you're surrounding these gases with a physical containment, and even though these gases are still going in all directions, you're all trying to say that it has like a downward bias. It doesn't have a downward bias. You've just contained it and you've compressed it into a weighable situation, and then you're just subscribing gravity to it. We all know for a fact, 100% categorical, that gravity has no grip on gases. So get it out your thick skull. It's very true.
That's not even
very true. It's very true. You're just in denial.
I don't know where you
Where
get
do you get that from, bro?
But it's not true.
Well, the problem
it's very
is gas does not
It's not
interact
just
with
not
the
true, it's
scale. You need to put it in a container.
true.
White
You
lemon.
guys are in denial.
Where do you get that from,
What
Brammy?
makes you say that, bro? I mean, why in the world would you think that's
Where do you get
Because
that
you
from,
guys
Brammy?
think that when you put it into a vacuum, right? When you put it into a vacuum, that's pressure, isn't it? That's why the vacuum presses out the energy out of water. It makes it freeze and boil at the same time, right? Because it presses so hard down on the thing. So you're changing the environment. So gases will go to the bottom primarily, like the helium balloon does, because it's a pressurized environment you put it in. But once you take it out of that container inside that pressurized environment, the gases will go in all directions. The gas will always go in all directions, even if you contain it and put it on some scales. It gives you a different number. It doesn't matter. You put it in a container. You've changed the actual. You've contained the gas and you've tried to subscribe gravity to it. That's absolute bollocks.
If it biases downward, it biases downward because the gravity acting on it at all times.
No, it's because you've
How
contained
is
it.
the bias
You've surrounded
downward
it
if
in a
things go
container,
up?
which is going to go
If
down.
it goes up in all directions, the bias is not down. It's not choosing when it wants to
Because
do
it doesn't. Because things in general don't go up, and things in general go down. The things are biased downwards.
Well,
Now,
you can
it's only
rocks
in
go
terms
up,
of
everything goes
density
down.
layers.
I heard that.
The cube.
So gravity affects everything. It makes gas bias downward. It'll bias downward inside a container in a vacuum. It'll bias downward in the atmosphere. It biases downward everywhere we find it on Earth.
How can you make that claim that the bias is downward?
You get solids and liquids. Solid. Listen. I'll spell it out for you.
The gas molecules are more likely to go down than they are to go up.
It's the last time I'm going to tell
And that little bit is what keeps it near the surface.
Why are they going up? Why are the ones going up in all directions? Forget the ones going down. What about the ones going up? Why are they going up?
They bounced off because they bounced off something. They ricocheted off something.
Gravity just
knocks them in that
doesn't affect them.
direction.
Gravity's just like, oh no,
Well,
we're just gonna hold this shit down. But we're just gonna let you go up, go over here and over there, and you know.
It does affect those because when they go up, gravity starts slowing them down immediately, and eventually they get to like when you throw a ball up. So you know how you throw a ball up, you can beat gravity for a while, but gravity slows it down and then brings it back down. Same thing with a molecule. So it beats gravity for a while, but then it gets slowed down by gravity and then pulls back down. Usually, actually, before that even happens, it'll hit another molecule and bounce backwards downwards.
That energy and threw it up, and so now it's going back down, back to its equilibrium.
The energy is being injected in the system from like heat and the sun and things like that.
Well, the thing is, we need to look into different conceptions. Perhaps these objects can chart their own path by absorbing energy from the surrounding medium. If you've ever looked at water, it tends to take a winding, circuitous, snake-like path. It never goes really in a straight path. It trickles down and kind of like rivulet streams that kind of wind. It makes its own path. So maybe these objects can make their own path. Once they get enough vibrational resonant frequency from the surrounding environment, they can chart their own path up, down, or floating. Maybe we need to look into another conception.
Hold on, bro. I'm going to let you go. I just need to say one thing to add to Scott's thing because they asked how you know it's going down. And if you used a cube container and you had a scale at the bottom of the container, but you also had a scale on all 6 sides of the container, so that you could see if it was going omnidirectional and it wasn't just biased downwards, this would tell you that the scale measuring the downward is going to be the much greater one, probably the only one that's even affected. Okay.
Well, what you want about? You say you put like you could put. Hold on. Don't talk now. You're trying to say you could put helium inside a container that's got scales on all sides, all 4 of the walls, and it would be a bias downwards.
All 6 sides, yes, and there'll be a bias downwards.
That's a load of bollocks. That's a load of bollocks. I'm calling bollocks on that straight away.
How do you think that they test
Well, show me then. Show me this experiment. Don't just tell me about it.
No, Robbie called bollocks on it. That means it's not true. He called bollocks, guys.
It's not. Show me then. Demonstrate it.
Show me even documentation that experiment ever happened, Kosho.
Well, I'm going to tell you what I'm about to
Actually, you know what? I don't even care about a picture anymore. No. Wait, Kosho, wait. I don't even care about a picture. I don't care about a video. If you're going to claim something like that, like you're pulling it out of your ass, can you please show me citation? No, wait. I want to see paperwork what you just claimed. And you said it exists and it can happen, so let me see that paperwork.
I'm about to show you.
Yeah, earlier on you said you couldn't.
I actually hated paper.
Because he's claiming something that he has seen that he doesn't even know exists because he's pulling out of his ass.
It's not necessary. It's not necessary.
Stop lying.
I'm about to show you is.
Coach, are you pulling it
when
out of
you
your
go in
astronaut? Just yes or no, please. Thank you.
You guys are denying we have the ability
Stop that,
to
Stacey.
accurately
Jim, then
weight.
you got to come in. No, you got to come in now and save the day because, oh no, wait a minute.
I'm not saving the day. You
Stacey,
guys
stop interrupting and stop lying, Stacey. You don't know if he's lying or not. If you want to see something, just ask him for it.
Okay,
wait,
let me see, please, for what you just claimed.
What I'm about to show you is I'm probably going to use helium. I can use any gas, though. But when you go and you're checking to see how full these gases are, one useful method is just to weigh it. And it tells you how much gas is still in there.
What you're going to do,
A
you're going to
cube
get a
on all
vacuum.
sides, you said. A cube on all sides, you said.
Do you want to know why that is? I can explain it.
You're going to get a vacuum and put a scale inside a vacuum and then try to say it's a bias downwards. You idiots,
Please
man.
don't waste your breath.
Show me the evidence, right? Don't just sit there and say it's been done because it hasn't. Prove your claim. Back up your shit with citations. Don't sit there saying you got different.
Well,
back it up.
in general, as Osho said, there does appear to be a general downward bias. The main thing is whether it's going to the center of a ball or if it's over a flat plane or distributed in some other fashion, and or if it is predominantly the force of the medium, the background medium of the ether that fills all space. That is
no one's got time for
determining
this
the
ether
rules.
chat, man. No one's got time for it. It's a load of bollocks, man. The fact of the matter is, the fact of the matter is that they're trying to say that helium has a bias downwards. They're trying to say that helium's got a bias down. If it was,
In
helium
general,
would go on the
most
floor.
objects appear
idiots,
to, I
man.
guess,
Talking out
have
your
a
arse.
downward bias. Most
Okay, right.
objects.
They appear to have a downward bias,
we've
right?
seen
But
in
you're,
the
yeah, but that doesn't mean anything.
If it's in a container, a vacuum, helium will go down.
Yeah, in a
When
vacuum, you spastic.
Yes.
What does a fucking vacuum do?
So what the
A
difference?
vacuum, right?
medium of the ether
It
is
puts pressure
always
on
there
things,
to
idiot.
see the rules.
It's a pressurized system, you fucking idiot.
Let's just hear me out.
Robbie, you need to relax and stop being so insulting. Just
Yeah,
have a
yeah, and let
conversation
this
like an
other
adult.
gentleman speak,
Because-
please. Come on, let him
The person
speak.
you're calling a fucking idiot is a flat earther. You might want to just take that into account.
You're the biggest idiot in here.
We're not going to do
Robbie, if you
that.
just want to get banned or just want to get kicked out, just tell us and we'll just do it fast. We don't need to you don't need to waste time.
I'm
doing it.
not calling people who agree with me fucking spastics, am I? You are.
That was
Well,
not
at the end of the day, right, a vacuum, right, is a pressurized environment, and no wonder the fucking gas is gonna have a bias down. You're trying to tell me that you put helium in a balloon and it's gonna have a bias downwards. Are you not mental?
Vacuum is
Are you
not a
mental?
pressurized environment.
It's
not pressurized
Are you
environment. dude.
mental?
In a vacuum, of course, the balloon does go down, but you add the
Yeah, because it's a pressurized environment.
Let him finish.
It's not a pressurized environment. It's the opposite of a pressurized environment.
when you
Oh, is it? So it's still a pressurized environment
A vacuum?
because it pushes all the molecules out and gets all the energy out of things and freezes and boils water at the same time. So it's obviously under a
A
lot of pressure.
vacuum is
isn't it?
lack of pressure.
Well,
It's
How do
actually
you
under
define a
but it
vacuum? A
puts-
lack of pressure.
But it puts substances under a lot of pressure. Don't talk to me about
How does it
it's
do
got
that
bias
if it's a
downwards.
lack of
It doesn't
pressure is how
matter.
you
It doesn't
define
matter.
it?
It doesn't matter.
Oh, it
Naturally,
doesn't
gases
matter?
will
It
go
doesn't
up.
matter,
Naturally,
huh?
gases
You
go
might
up.
want to talk
It doesn't
about
matter,
it.
huh, Robbie? You
You're
don't
already
want to talk
denial
about that
on it.
anymore, do you?
Learn some science. Learn some proper science.
Were you calling us an idiot a second ago and now you don't want to talk about it anymore, huh?
Can we get back to the heat adding mass thing?
You're trying to say that helium's got a bias downwards? What are
You're
you
trying to say
talking
that a
about?
vacuum is a pressurized
In a
environment. For
vacuum,
fuck's sake.
yeah.
I think you should just take
In a
I think you should
vacuum.
take a seat for a second. You should take a seat
I
for a
think you
second.
should think about what you're saying in a vacuum, yeah, but not in a balloon normally.
Okay,
How the hell would
so I'm
helium have a bias down?
What you saying?
Can we get
You're
back to
telling
something
me
the
we
different?
can
organizing
wait.
Where's the piece of
principle.
paper, Kosho?
The organizing
What's a fucking
principle
retard?
is frequency. Different objects react to different frequencies in the medium of electromagnetic ether differently. Some float, some rise, some sink, but they will organize along this frequency that is put out in the medium. They will layer and they will stratify accordingly.
Yo, Lemon, I'm gonna say this. We don't know that it's electromagnetic ether. That's speculation. We know there's a cause. We don't know what it is, and we can't say it's electromagnetic.
We actually
ether.
do.
Earth has
No,
We
we
actually
don't
do.
have any proof of that.
We do. We have a bunch of
where's your
breadcrumbs.
evidence that it's electromagnetic ether? That's the cause
The
of
Casimir effect, the 0-point energy, the quantum fluid, the quantum foam, the fields that are everywhere, the intellectual
Risk out,
framework
one at a
that they
time.
worked with back in the Michelson-Morley days that was actually quite intuitive and quite sensible to say that we have all these waves, therefore something must be waving like space itself, the electromagnetic ether. It just makes sense.
Yeah, like that. It's a presumed cause, but we don't know that it's that.
It's an intellectual framework,
which
and
one-
since you don't
which
have
one
intellectual
experiment or what
options, I'm
have you-
sorry, but your framework is inferior.
Lemon,
You're not
which
offering
one
a
example-
rational intellectual option to replace it. So I'm going to go with the ether.
Yeah, okay, but which one example, which one experiment is your proof of ether?
It's an intellectual framework to explain the observations of multiple experiments. The fact that light appears to go slower this way in the interferometer versus faster this way with the flow of whatever is in space in the interferometer.
So basically, it's abductive reasoning
theory.
in which you're claiming to be fact.
It's rational reasoning based off of the behavior. You need to have
but
a
you
framework
don't
to
have any
interpret
proof
the
whatsoever to say
experiment.
that it is the cause, right?
You don't have a rational framework otherwise. So
Just a
all you
rational
have is
answer
a
that might be-
disjointed, irrational mind that is incapable of interpreting the experiments because you don't have a rational framework.
Bro, you don't have to ad hom it. I completely understand it. I'm capable of comprehending it. But I'm saying that there's no actual
You need to
evidence
offer
to
another
say that this
rational
is the
framework if you
answer.
want to come to the conversation. You
No,
need to offer
that's
another rational
independent,
framework, otherwise ether.
No, bro, you haven't established
No,
either.
we can't. Yeah, exactly. I get percentage. We can't come to a conclusion based on we're guessing and we are observing something and based on logic and reasoning because it's exactly the same
It's
shit that the
exactly
globe
the
people
globe
say.
model.
Exactly the same shit that I don't agree with, and I'm not against you, Limit, because I think you're very intelligent and amazing. But in that statement, I'd have to disagree because there's no way you could prove that because we have no evidence of it. Now, do we have observations that make sense for something like that? We could say yes to that. But until we have
would say the
proof,
exact same
we
thing about
cannot
gravity.
claim that because then we are just like them.
But the thing is, you need to have a rational framework to explain these observations. Otherwise, you're going
Well,
to be
that's
in an
exactly what
inferior
they say, honey, and I totally get that. But as a actual truther, we can rationalize things, speculate things. But if we're really trying to find truth and we want them to stand on truth, and so do we. We ain't got proof of that shit
Yeah,
yet.
we can't jump to conclusions.
The thing is, we discover truth by many routes. We reason back to the ultimate truth that is unavoidable. And the ether, frankly,
we're
is
getting
an
there.
unavoidable rational.
we get the truth through very specific
There's
routes.
no other option.
There's
no other option.
The route for truth is very specific. It's either empirical or scientific evidence, right?
But even that route is not specific. Empiricism itself has its own problems. The full empirical process is something is brought to your senses, you perceive it, and you abstract the experience into some sort of picture or some sort of token that you take to represent the experience. The problem with empiricism is not everybody forms the same images and the same tokens. Not everybody is as imaginative or takes the same empirical experience and abstracts it to the same level. So even empiricism has a problem, number one. Number
hold
two,
up. Let me respond to that real quick.
There
Enough
are
of
true
it-
things
enough
out
people-
there
hold
that
up, let me-
cannot be
one at a time,
empirically verified or empirically sensed. They can only be reasoned and rationalized toward. So you have
Okay.
problems even with empiricism.
So your first issue, enough people have the same experience wherein a baseline of that, sensation or that observance.
It's not the
or
problem. The
observation, I should
problem
say,
is not everybody
is
needs the
made,
same
you know?
tokens, the same abstract pictures from the same experience.
That's all right. Not everybody
That's the
has to
problem.
experience it the same exact way. A schizophrenic
It
or
still
someone
needs to
that's
be
deluded doesn't need
abstracted
to
to be
experience it the same
communicated
way.
to another person. It still needs to be abstracted if you're going to communicate it to another person. Otherwise, you're going to have to fall on everybody experiencing the event, which is impossible in a world full of people.
like, but see, most people do experience the same things in that way. It's the shared, parallelism, right? It's the shared similar experience between all these people, and that in itself could be, you could argue that that's even replicating that observation.
But you're giving up on rationality for an experience that not everybody is going to be able to experience. That alone is a problem. What about rationality?
No, it's
what
not a
about
problem at all.
reason?
Blind
What
people
is the
can't
source of
experience
all
sight.
of these
That doesn't mean
waves?
sight is not real.
If not a waving etheric medium. You can't have waves without something to wave. So what's waving to give us these waves if not an etheric medium? That's why I was asking you what intelligible option you had other than the ether. If you don't have another intelligible option, then thinking just stops.
Your imagination.
You don't need to replace it. Hold up, Lemon. You don't need to replace it with another guess. You can have guesses. That's fine. You can have presumed causes. You can infer as much as you want, but you can't claim it as truth until it actually is. And
It's
until
an
then,
intellectual
until
framework,
you figure out
though.
its truth. That's fine. You can have as many inferences in your intellectual framework as you want. That's cool, right? We could all speculate as to what the cause may be, but we can't claim it's the cause, right? Until we have evidence of that. And we don't have evidence for electromagnetic ether.
The option that you're talking about is just stopping thought and stopping thinking.
No,
that is
by all means, that's not what I'm saying at all. I'm saying
then what other
continue
option
searching,
is there?
but be humble enough to say when you don't know. You say that you
Okay,
don't know
well,
when
I'm
you don't
going
know.
to go with the ether. How about that?
That's fine. That's your freedom, man. But don't say that's what it is. Say that's what you think it is.
But you can't give another option, though. You're just saying, I don't know. And thinking stops.
We don't know.
How are we going
Our
to be
knowledge isn't
systematic
at that
scientific
level
thinkers if we can't even think? That doesn't make any sense, dude.
But as long as we don't have the answer, we shouldn't claim that we have the answer because that's
What
intellectually
are we
dishonest.
going to think about if we don't have a model or something for our mind to chew on? You're talking about the death of systematic
We'll continue to collect data points,
with
man.
its own problems. That's a problem, dude.
No, at some point you have to be humble in saying that we don't have enough information. We don't have enough data points to have all the answers.
We know
And
that
until we
something
do,
is
we
waving.
we cannot
We know
formulate
that
what the
something is
actual
waving
cause
and
is.
that something with properties is usually what's waving. You can't have waves without a medium to wave. So that appears to reduce back to some sort of etheric medium that pervades
It doesn't
all
have
space.
to.
You're just trying to open up the possibility for something else. But the problem is
I'm
when you're doing
remaining
that,
open-minded
you're
to the
stopping
possibility
thought
of
because
anything.
now you don't have anything for your mind to chew on. At that point, you don't have the option to be systematic or scientific. You need
No, I think you're
something
projecting because
for
right now you're pigeonholing yourself into this etheric, electromagnetic etheric medium or what have you, when you don't actually know that that's the case. And in the future, when other things present themselves, because you'll have this confirmational bias going in, you're not going to be as intellectually honest to those other options. So I think it's the exact opposite of what you were accusing me to have.
My question is, Lemon Bird, why are you so close-minded right now?
Before Lemon's answer, Percent, do you have that altitude of that rocket figured out yet?
The what?
The what? The altitude of the rocket launch of the videos that Jake provided to you. It's been days. You still haven't been able to calculate a simple tan formula?
I calculated it that day. Tan isn't hard, bro. SOHCAHTOA. That's like, 10th grade bullshit.
So what was your altitude?
I don't know. I can't remember. Around 60 miles or something.
All right.
Yeah, like 80 miles was definitely an overshoot. I checked 3 locations, and for the first one I got 43. For the next one I got 46.
You do know that
redid the first one because I underestimated a little bit.
Why are you trying to interrupt him, man?
I said I redid
the thrust produced by the pressure
He's
differential
talking,
only
dude.
is not enough to elevate something of that mass to that altitude in that amount of time.
Yeah. You tried to presumptively talk shit to him. Now he's trying to explain it.
It wasn't accurate. It's not complete accurate. There's margins of error because I didn't have the location of the rocket.
You do understand that I can take anywhere over 20 to 80. It won't even make 20 miles. I don't care what your margin of error. It'll never make that altitude.
It won't make what altitude?
The pressure the delta P times A, that thrust for that amount of weight to accelerate in that amount of time will never reach that altitude.
For what rocket? What are you talking about?
It doesn't matter what. For the SpaceX rocket that you were looking at.
I don't know where it was. I don't know what,
You're
what
not
time
listening. I don't care where you
listening.
think
You're
it
saying
is.
the change of,
I will account for all of your margin of error. I'll give you even 20% on top of that. It will never make that altitude just with the pressure differential force.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
What it means is your claim of
all I know is that they claimed 80 miles, and when I calculated it, even though there's margins of error,
first of all, your
I
calculations
calculated
are crap.
it around 60.
Because you can't even
calculate it yourself.
estimate it, and
how about you
can't
calculate
even
it and show me
estimate
the
an elevation
okay?
angle. You had days to do this properly, and you can't even give a proper answer.
What are you talking about days, bro? I did it in the first hour that I did it, and then I stopped. I was done with it. So if you,
I can show you the calculation to show
hoping that I would carry on
get the rocket to that altitude.
Little thing that, by the way, I volunteered upon myself. If you want to calculate it for yourself and share your numbers and stuff, then go ahead and do that. But I don't give a fuck that much, I did got a calculation that was maybe 20% lower below what they claimed it was. I did it in multiple locations, and I got around 40 miles to 60 miles. They claim 80 some miles or whatever. So who knows?
What calculation were you doing? I wasn't listening in bed.
SpaceX Falcon 9 altitude.
Based on what though?
Based on these different videos that I think it was Jake had posted on here.
Hey, Waco Kid, can we have like 30 minutes to reclaim all the air that was sucked out of the room?
Oh, we're getting some air back now, right? But I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you very well. Percentage. I heard what you said, that it was the Falcon X. But where did you say the data was used? I'm just trying to see. I'm just curious, like what this.
I was using videos that, like basically YouTube videos of sightings, and I had to like guesstimate the altitude based off of where it was in the sky, and if the video had, you know, the moon beside it. I looked up what the moon's altitude was on that night, like at that time, and basically just guessed it from that, and then popped it into the equation and got my value.
So you admit that you guessed it, and then you're surprised you got a difference on what the actual reported altitude is?
Dude, are you retarded? I just told you that there was margins of error. There was reasons of error. One was that because I had to guess the angle of inclination or what have you, right? And then also I had to guess another margin of error is I didn't have the trajectory of the rocket, so I just went for where the launch point was. It's not supposed to be like some sort of super accurate. It was just like, you know, a backyard calculation. So you get off your high horse, when you haven't even done the calculation yourself, bro.
Well, what is that information?
I haven't telling us? Give me a break. So are you going to accept the fact that you cannot get a rocket to that altitude with the delta P times A thrust, or do you need me to do the math for you?
Go ahead, do the math for me.
All right, you're not going to accept it, but I'll do it for you after I finish my gen, and if I remember to do it, because you're not going to accept my numbers, and I know.
What do you mean? You just said you were going to do it. Are you going to break your word? I
said right. I'll do it right after I finish my gen.
He's Canadian. That could take all night, eh?
I'll wait for it.
Exactly. You know, I'll give it to you about the same amount of time it took you to calculate that. You know, that altitude.
Ooh, that's a burn. Wicked burn, eh?
But while we're waiting, that other dumbass that was on earlier, because I just had to.
Could you clarify?
That other dumbass
There's been a few.
But don't do that, guys. We got to be the better people, and you're just inviting him to be all vitriolic.
On you, like
let me get.
No, Coach, I disagree. On a Friday night, I refuse to be the better man. Which dumbass are you referring to, by the way?
Was this guy saying that if you've got a cube of lead, 15 centimeters, and you put that on a scale, and you put a really powerful electrostatic generator above that block of lead, it will make any difference to the 38.27 kilograms it would be weighing on the scale?
Any energy you input into something like that, whether it's heat or right. Whether it's heat.
We're talking about electrostatics,
right?
Standing in for gravity,
right?
And therefore, electrostatics.
I'm not gonna try this, man.
You know, because of electrostatics.
So when I talk with Winston, I gotta tell him it's not worth the energy to try to have a conversation, man.
Then put an electrostatic generator above a block of lead. See if it makes a difference.
Yo, Michael, who are you talking to?
No, I'm just confused about what this electrostatic replacement for gravity is, what it's about.
Yeah, but to whom is your question directed? Who?
Because that answer it wasn't relevant to his question.
Oh, that was my minute closing.
Yeah,
what's his question?
Conclusion, Coach.
What's his question?
But my question.
Sure.
Yeah. You've got a block of lead, 6 inches on the side, right? A cube. And you put a really powerful electrostatic generator, and it's on a scale. And the scale is reading 38.27 kilograms. Well, 28 kilograms. And you put a really powerful electrostatic generator above that lead. will it still weigh 38.28 kilograms?
An electrostatic generator?
Yeah. A really powerful one. You don't know what an electrostatic generator is?
No, yeah, sure. And a really powerful electrostatic generator, and you do what exactly?
Give me an example of an electrostatic generator.
Oh, I don't know. I'm trying to follow you. You tell me.
Well, it would be a Van de Graaff generator, but okay, fair enough. You obviously never went to school.
Okay.
So would that have any effect on that block of lead? If you held a really powerful electrostatic generator above it?
It probably would not have a very detectable effect. No.
But I thought electrostatic energy explained everything. Because
well, my point is that electrostatics is still present there, also not a noticeable differentiation is present. Okay, well, whatever. That's my point. That's my point. What are you trying to disprove right now?
Shocked them, we all had fun with that as a kid.
Say again.
We all had fun with a Van de Graaff generator as a kid.
Okay, so what exactly is your?
Yeah, so why does this really, really powerful electrostatic generator have absolutely no effect whatsoever on this block of lead on the scales?
Oh, I would say it has no effect whatsoever, but it would be a minimal negligible effect because the resonance of that material is very low, but it is still electrostatic. Would you agree?
So what defines uppity and downity?
Do what?
What defines uppity and downity?
Uppity and downity?
Wow. Yeah.
What defines uppity and downity is your question?
Say gravity.
Oh my god.
But
yeah, so that
This is
evolved quick.
Downity force.
Michael, this is embarrassing. Come on.
Agreed.
So what is your downity force?
What? What is my downity force? You're the one that claims the force. Yeah, calm down, bro.
Force.
Hey, bro, calm down. Calm down, bro.
It's it. You calm down then.
I'm super calm.
Where does the sun go at night on a flat Earth?
It goes away from you.
How much Xanax did you need to take to become this calm?
Damn, you're still on that one, bro?
Before we even start talking about electrostatics, maybe we should.
You don't even understand what my point is about electrostatics. You try to bring it up like you were going to spike me or something, like you were just going to school me, and then I was like, well, my entire premise is that everything is inherently electrostatic. So anything that is material inherently is electrostatic.
He was talking about.
No. I immediately responded by saying no. Yeah, but it is still, in fact, electrostatic. Like it can
measure it or notice it.
Oh, so the lack of differentiation does not give you some avenue to neglect the fact that the electrostatic is there.
That means
it's still inherently there.
Effect. Yes, that is exactly what it means.
No. So you're saying it isn't electrostatic?
Yes,
is that your claim?
That's
Wait,
exactly what that means. If you can't measure it, there's no
your
measurable
claim?
effect. That is a tautology.
So is your claim that it isn't electrostatic?
My claim is if there's no measurable effect, then there isn't an effect.
No, the question is simple. Is it or isn't it electrostatic? Is it or isn't it electrostatic? Is it or isn't it electrostatic?
Your example of the lead block shows that it is not electrostatic. Because
so you're saying the lead block isn't electrostatic. Is that your claim?
What did I just say?
You're claiming that the lead isn't electrostatic. That's your claim.
What did I just say? Good job answering what I just said.
That's what you just said, yes.
No, I did not say, those were not the words I said. Rewind the YouTube stream and listen again.
Okay, well, feel free to clarify. Go ahead.
Scott, if this is not going to move forward, Bender had a question.
Cool, great.
Okay, yeah, sure. Everything with matter is inherently electrostatic.
His minute has been up for a long time.
Futuristic name. I feel it. What's up, bro? What's your question, dog? Earth Geocentric Stationary Plane.
No. If your claim is that the sun sets by going away, I would like to know how a digital sundial works in that scenario.
How does a digital sundial work?
Yeah, he doesn't know what a
via
digital sundial is,
the
Bender.
application
Via
of
batteries,
via the application of the entirety of the cycle. Yeah.
I want to know how a digital sundial.
Well, why can't you just
works
respond to what I
based
just
on
said?
Because I'm not going to go away from the deflection.
Oh, that is the entire point, though.
Sundial
So, dun dun dun.
sun doing very particular things. It does not.
Does it apply the entirety of the cycle?
It applies to the entire daytime that you can see the sun in the sky.
No. Well, okay. So the entirety of the cycle when it comes back too, also, right?
Every morning it'll read the.
So its full cycle is
the sun
applied digitally because it's known and it's reoccurring and it's a cycle. It's cyclical. What's your point?
Are you under the assumption that a digital sundial is electric?
No, wait. Is that that's what you took out of what I said?
Yeah.
Well, basically, it's a sundial that's set up to give a digital style reading of the time. But just by
what is your point
the
exactly?
sun shining through the holes in the sundial.
So what is the premise exactly?
It only
Can we get a
works if
concise
the sun
premise?
rotates above us. It will not work if the sun maintains a constant altitude in the sky.
If the sun rotates above us, it will not work. That was your preference.
With the sun rotating above us, it does not work based on your assumption of perspective.
Oh, it works with the sun rotating above us. That's what I think.
No.
No, what?
Well, then where does the sun go at night? Because if it's rotating,
It goes where you can't see it anymore. It's really simple. Chill, bruh. Stop trying to act like you don't understand it. Just open your mind, even though the mere possibility of it makes a lot of you uncomfortable. Whether that is true or not, at least look at it without bias.
There's actually not enough vinaigrette in this world to make your word salad palatable.
If you don't look at it without bias, you'll never find the truth. You're scared of the truth.
Get out.
Okay, so you are scared of the truth.
Get out.
Well, I answered every question. You're scared of the truth. You get it. Yeah, whatever. You're a clown. Would you ever debate me one-on-one, face-to-face on YouTube? You want to do that? And we can put it. We can donate it to whatever fund. We can donate it to whatever charity. We can donate all super chats, whatever charity you.
I'm not going to waste my time for your $0 contributions. You don't have anything that shows that lead can be moved by a static charge.
Oh, so you're scared to debate me. I got you. No, actually, I said that everything with matter is inherently electrostatic. That's what I said.
The lead block we talked about.
No, I'm saying, okay. So I asked you to specify, are you saying that the lead block isn't electrostatic?
And I specified that you should rewind the stream and listen to what I actually said.
Okay, so if I were to scoop my feet across the ground, gaining electrostatic charge, and I was to touch the lead block, there is no way I could transfer the electrostatic to the lead?
Answering a different question that was not asked.
Oh, you can't answer. And this is a recurring theme in this room. None of you can ever answer the legit questions. Y'all are pathetic, bro. Y'all are pathetic. This is, well, I'm going to get out of here. It's been real. Stay real, bro. Go check out the YouTube. Listen to what I'm saying. I'm not just saying. I'm just some dude, bro. I dropped out of college. I'm not claiming I know everything, bro, but think for yourself, please.
I don't think you got into college.
I didn't say I flunked out of college. I said I dropped out. I never went to class. Every time I stepped in there, I made okay, I did very well. Look, here's the deal. Here's the deal. It doesn't matter, okay? The only real education is self-education. Seek truth unequivocally, regardless of bias. Do not let people scare you away from looking for the truth, and I do not want you to think any type of way about anything other than find the truth.
More than a minute. He only asked
find the truth for yourself. Do not let these little clown gammas online scare you. Do not let them scare you.
Come on.
Look into the truth for yourself.
Who is the one who
truth is stranger than fiction. It's easier to fool someone than to convince them that they have been fooled. I'm out after this statement. I'm out. All I'm going to say is it's easier to fool someone than to convince them that they have been fooled. Look into things that you previously assumed. Love, peace.
Damn it! I had a question
So are you
for
saying
you.
that
With
we're
me,
trying to
damn it.
No questions. No questions.
I
The
had a
witness is
question
dismissed.
for him.
Sorry. Should have
Yeah.
been here 2 hours ago.
He couldn't have answered it anyway. I was here. Don't worry.